right, chat. So we're going to talk about something kind of interesting today in relation to some videos that my good friend Keffals has put out recently on her channel. A lot of you guys may know she did a couple videos recently exposing somebody who is kind of like a stalker, an abuser, and a bit of a predator to the trans community recently, known as Sasha. And so Keffals really did her homework. She did a lot of research into this topic. She even did some interviews with some people who were affected by this person. And it was some really serious stuff that got exposed on her channel. And there's a person that, I don't know if you'd call them a content creator. I don't know if you'd call them just like some kind of orbiter online or something. I'm not really sure what you would refer to Rose Mulet as, but Rose Mulet decided that she was going to take the stance of defending this person who was accused of these very horrible things. And I don't know why she decided it was a good idea to do that, but for whatever reason, that's what she decided. And so Keffals decided to bring her on her stream and have a debate with her about this situation. And we're going to go ahead and react to that debate today. So without further ado, chat, let's just go ahead and oh boy, let's get right into it. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello. I figured we could talk about the video that you made. I did end up watching it.
Yeah, what'd you think of the video?
I don't understand the conclusion that you came to when Tally explicitly did not consent.
Yeah. So when it comes to, first of all, some of the things that you mentioned in the video, forgive me, my memory might be a little fuzzy because there's been some distance since I covered the whole thing. But like a lot of the stuff you mentioned, like the texts that seemed to be coming, the car that you mentioned, and then like the other people involved, it seemed to me like there was clear evidence that there was some stuff going on. But when it came to the Tally stuff, the majority of the thing that was going on was, oh, this person doesn't look like the pictures that they presented. And I was comfortable doing this going into it. But because the pictures weren't aligned with what this person actually looks like, suddenly it's a thing. And then I'm not going to express my feelings. I just got like a really weird vibe from the whole thing. And like, I can.
So, okay, right from the jump. Does Rose not understand that, like, okay, so what she's saying is that they had consented initially via text messages to the sexual interactions they were going to have for OnlyFans content, okay? They had initially consented, and then when they showed up to Sasha's house, they saw what Sasha really looked like as opposed to how she makes herself look in her content and in her photos online, and things didn't really add up. Like, the person she was seeing in person was not the same as what she sees in the photos, right? So she decided, well, I don't really want to have sexual contact with this person now, right? Like, does Rose not understand that, like, just because you might have initially in advance consented to having these interactions, Rose not understand that you can withdraw consent at any time? Like, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of having sex, okay? Let's say you're right in the middle of having sex with a person. Consent was already given, and you guys are right in the middle of it, and then, like, in the middle of it, you decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore, right? At that point, you've withdrawn consent, and, like, the person who's having sex with you, they need to stop at that point, okay? Like, so it doesn't even matter if you're right in the middle of the sex. Like, you have to stop if the person withdraws the consent, okay? And does Rose not understand that like maybe in the text messages she initially consented, but now she's like, look, this person isn't who they portray themselves as publicly, and I've decided I don't want to consent to this anymore. You can withdraw consent for any reason whatsoever. You don't have to give a justification for it. It's up to you to decide who you consent to have sex with and who you don't.
See how like it wasn't like super great and Sasha could have acted better, but I wouldn't jump so fast to say that it was like undeniably like rape. I know that's like a big conclusion to come to. I just feel like based on what I saw and based on the evidence that was presented in the video, I just don't. It's just a weird situation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, let me see if I can get this camera on. Sorry. Is this? All right, am I gonna? Oop. No, that is not okay. Give me a second.
And I've seen a lot of this conversation already, chat. Like, this conversation is very bizarre, like on so many levels. Very, very bizarre.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, my webcam. That's lovely. That just fell. Can you talk while I'm sorting stuff out? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So I think the reason why that those pictures were shown is because there was a recurring pattern happening with people saying that when they met Sasha in person, she looked so different from the photos that she put online that they felt like they were being deceived about what Sasha actually looked like.
Right.
So when you're flirting with people online and you're under the impression this is what they look like, and then you are presented with the reality of the situation, don't you think that is deceptive?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of subjectivity here. I mean, no one can know for sure, like, how much a certain
I mean, chat, imagine yourself, you're in a situation, right? Let's say, like, say you're a woman and you're, like, you know, on a dating app looking to, like, meet up with some, like, dude or whatever. You're potentially looking for a hookup. Maybe even, you know, somebody who you potentially are interested in dating or something like that. Whatever the case may be, right? So you're on this dating app and you're looking at the photos that they have on their dating app, and this dude's like drop dead gorgeous, right? He looks like fucking like Brad Pitt or some shit, right? Like, he's a really, really, really good looking dude. And so you agree to like meet up with this guy for a hookup or whatever. And when you show up, it looks like some fucking basement dwelling neckbeard. Like, you'd understand to be like pretty fucking upset. And like at that point, you're like, well, I don't really want to hook up with this person anymore. Like, I think that's a pretty normal feeling to have in that situation. No, I think anybody would feel like that for sure.
certain photos edited. We can speculate, like, oh, did this person use Facetune and stuff? I just don't like these kind of conversations because, like, a lot of time, I just know when men go on dating apps, they see like a woman uses a picture of her when she was like a few pounds skinnier, or you know, she wore makeup and she put filters, and then the guy meets her in real life and he's like, oh, I was catfished. You don't look like you did in that photo. You gained weight, or you don't.
Okay, there's a huge difference. Okay. There's a huge difference between, oh, somebody uses a photo of themselves when they're like maybe not as heavy as they are now. Like, they're still the same person, but it's an older photo, or they're not as chunky, or, you know, maybe it's a photo that has a little bit of like filters and stuff, but it's not like completely changing who they are as a person. It's just there's a little bit of filters going on. Like, we're talking about drastic changes in their appearance. I don't know if you guys have seen like the side-by-side picture that like some people were posting on like social media, but like it's insanely over the top how much has been changed in these photos. Like, it almost doesn't even look like the same person anymore. So I can understand why in this situation someone might initially consent, thinking, "Oh yeah, you know, they're cute or whatever. I'd like to do the, you know, sex work content with them." And then you show up and you see somebody who looks nothing whatsoever like what their images of themselves on the internet publicly posted look like, and be like, "You know what? Nah, I'm not feeling this. I'm not really interested in this anymore." You know what I mean? Like, I could totally understand why someone might feel that way. But anyway.
Don't look like this without makeup. Makeup is deceiving me.
Right, but I'm talking about the specific incident and not like an anecdotal.
Yeah.
Not anything anecdotal. I'm talking about this very specific incident. Or it was very clear, it was very different.
Yeah, I get that. Like, when sex is involved, like, you can be a little more touchy about these things. It's just, to me, I mean, to assume that this was like a catfish, a deception, you'd have to assume that like the whole online sex career is a deception. And like the in play is that, oh,
I mean, it is catfishing. It absolutely is catfishing. When you're looking at one person in public photos and you're seeing a completely different person in person, like that's catfishing. Like, what do you mean? And I know like the argument she's trying to make is something along the lines of, well, like a lot of like OnlyFans models touch up their photos. but not to like that degree. An OnlyFans model might do a little bit of photoshopping to remove like wrinkles or like stretch marks or like, like little blemishes about their body that they don't like, which by the way, I think you should feel beautiful with your body however you are, okay? But having said that, like, OnlyFans models, they'll typically remove those minor, what they perceive to be imperfections about their body, so they can improve in their view, the quality of their content or whatever. That's like a huge different that's vastly different from slightly or like completely altering your appearance. Okay, that's a huge difference.
Oh, so she's editing her purpose. She's editing her photos in order to meet up with these people online, and that's just not.
That was never a claim that I made.
I'd have to rewatch the video and stuff that I said. I'm sorry. Like I said,
By the way, in Rose's video, didn't she claim that she didn't even watch the whole video? Like, I'm pretty sure in Rose's video, she makes the statement that she didn't even watch the whole video. Maybe during editing, when I'm editing this for YouTube, maybe I'll post a clip of that right here.
So this is an hour-long video, right? I'm obviously not going to watch the whole thing on stream. You guys can watch this in your own time. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. I'm only going to focus on the stuff about Tally, as that was the main, focus of the video, and all of this other stuff. And there's just a lot more evidence when it comes to Tally. So I'm going to give my honest evaluation of the situation.
I made this video like a week ago or so.
Yeah, when I was watching the video, you said in the video you didn't actually watch my video.
Yeah, so she did.
No,
yeah.
I did watch your video. I watched the video like a few hours before I responded to it, and then what happened was I got
why would you say you didn't watch it?
I took a few clips from the video, and then I kind of like used those and put those into my response. So like I watched the video, and then I responded to like little parts that I saw, like the parts of the video that I wanted to focus on. I clipped those, and then I kind of like made like a Twitter video so I could go over those.
Right. So with Sasha, why couldn't she at any point actually just shown what she looks like without editing her appearance?
I mean, that just assumes that like the photos that she posted online are like deceptive by nature, and I don't see how that would be the case. Like, I don't see the problem with doing filters. I don't see the problem with making yourself like look good for like photos and stuff. I just don't like. I guess you could.
It's also we also need to get away from the idea that this was catfishing. This wasn't dating. This was business.
Right.
This was not like a personal exchange. This was a business exchange where they were producing pornography.
Yeah, but like. And that's the thing that you mentioned in the video, like something about like how because it was a business, it was treated like this. Like I feel like Tally had like a lot of internal thoughts, like, oh, is this what it's like to be in a business? To do OnlyFans, to feel uncomfortable every time you do this stuff. I don't see sex work as business.
Okay, but it is a business. You sell a product, you make money. How can that not? That's the definition of a business.
Right.
I just feel like when it comes to like sex work, like the consent lines are always going to be pushy because it's like
the fact of the matter is that
consent doesn't change just because you're making sex work content. Consent is consent no matter what the purpose of the sex is, whether it's a casual hookup, whether it's someone you're dating, whether it's someone you're married to, whether it's someone you're making sex work content. Consent is consent, period. The lines don't change just because in this case they're doing sex work together. What?
Tally did not express consent. She did not say that she wanted to have happen what happened. And in fact, she looked so unenthused by the situation that Sasha was literally like, you need to look more enthusiastic about this.
Yeah, so about the situation, I completely understand that quote in particular comes off a certain way. Up until that point, I can understand, like, for instance, why, someone could be under the impression of that. But I typically believe that Sasha going into this, I assume when you're going to do sex work with someone for the first time, you can understand why someone would be nervous. I think what Sasha should have done is gone up and been like, hey, is everything okay?
Okay.
Like, she could have definitely.
We're not
no
talking
shit.
about a hypothetical about what could have been done. We're talking about the situation as it went down, where Tally did not give consent and Sasha went ahead anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, well, the thing is, what happened was before the conversation took place, Tally had sent some messages saying that she had consented and was willing to do this kind of conversation. So Sasha wasn't under every.
But again, you can withdraw consent at any time. At any fucking time. You might show up to somebody's house with the intention of hooking up with them, and then decide when you get there, oh, I'm not really interested anymore. Or as I said before, you could literally be in the middle of a sex act with someone and decide at that point, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you're withdrawing your consent. And the person that you're being with has to respect that. No matter what. So like, it doesn't matter that she initially agreed to it in text messages beforehand. The fact of the matter is she did not give consent during the act itself. And Sasha continued to engage anyways. And that's a problem.
Interpretation to believe that, these things are going to happen. That obviously you should like make sure that the person's consenting, but I don't think it was like malicious in any way. I don't think she had any reason to believe that it was like making her uncomfortable.
Yes, she did. She literally, in the same interaction, said, you don't look like you're having a good time, and tried to instruct Tally to look like she was having a good time when she was obviously uncomfortable.
Yeah, so it's not even like a body language thing, right? Because I know like some people will say like you always have to get like verbal consent or whatever. There are body language cues that you can pick up on when somebody's like interested in what's happening and when they're not. But that's not even the case here, right? It's not even like a body language thing where she's like expressing that she's into it. Like Sasha's having to tell her to look like she's into it because she's not. You know what I mean? So like it's not even, you can't even make like, oh, it's a body language argument. I could tell she was into it by the way she was behaving. No, we literally have it on record that she had to tell her to look more interested because she wasn't. Like this is so fucked beyond belief.
Yeah, but I feel like that's more like, oh, I mean, like I said, doing collabs with someone, like I understand the interpretation, but I can see how Sasha wouldn't think that for the reason that you think. I think she would just see it as like, oh, I'm doing this with somebody else for the first time. It's different from doing it for myself. Maybe some people just have problems with like doing stuff on camera. I like I said, I think that she should have stepped in and like said a few more questions. She acknowledged that there was some level of discomfort there. She didn't respond in like the best way, but I don't.
There was
think
no
that
point where Tally said, yes, I would like to
No.
have oral sex. It happened without Tally ever expressing consent.
Yep.
Consent is an
Right.
ongoing and enthusiastic process.
No, and that's obviously wrong. But at the same time, in sexual relationships,
This
people
isn't a
don't just
sexual
go, like,
relationship. This was a business exchange. If you're going to call it sex work, then you can't say that it's not a business. You're using the word work.
Well, what happens is sexual acts are committed. It really doesn't matter about the context of whether it's for like OnlyFans or stuff. Like sexual acts are happening, And the
I
fact
think
that it's a business kind of means it's less personal, it's less emotional. A lot of people who do sex work, they're not being raped. They're going to feel less enthusiastic than it's somebody that they would genuinely want to have sex
Wait,
with. Not
so
for
you're
money.
implying if they were being raped, they'd be more enthusiastic?
That
I do want to say that I don't think that's what she was implying. I think what she was suggesting here is that if you're in an intimate interaction with someone, like a legitimate intimate interaction, you're going to be more enthusiastic than if you're just doing sex work. I think that's what she was implying, but I also don't think that point matters here. I think it's an irrelevant point.
No, that's not what I said.
Those were your...
I'm saying they'd be more enthusiastic if it wasn't sex work. Because there's like a more thing of like, I'm not just doing this for money. I'm doing this because I actually like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, so she's talking about like a legitimately
Right.
intimate sexual interaction.
So
But again, that's not
I'm
relevant
sorry.
here.
I'm very confused how this relates to
Okay.
consent on the topic.
Yeah, so I feel like in Sasha's head, this is kind of like for both of them, they had never done anything like this before. So they didn't really know what to expect. They had both like texted each other saying that they were cool with stuff. So that was giving Sasha the impression that things are going to be fine. And I think Sasha probably just assumed like it's awkward just to, do sex work with another person. Maybe that's why there wasn't enthusiasm. Obviously, you should look at that situation and like talk about it and make sure you're not making anybody uncomfortable. But I don't think that ever was like on her radar.
If Sasha was worried about making people uncomfortable, why would she not stop doing what she's doing and instead tell Tally to look like she's not uncomfortable?
Yeah, that's a good point, honestly. I feel like if I'm hooking up with someone and they look like they're like uncomfortable or miserable during the whole interaction, like I'm going to stop for a second and be like, yo, like, are you okay? Like, is everything good? Or like, what's the deal here? Like, are you fine? Like, I'm not going to keep going and then like tell them like, you look like you're not into it. Can you like look like you're into it? Like, I don't feel like that's the reaction you should have when someone is very clearly uncomfortable with you, like in a sexual interaction. That's a really weird way to respond to someone looking visibly uncomfortable.
Like if it's awkward, then she should have stopped doing what she was doing.
She absolutely acted in the wrong there. Like that was the wrong response. I just don't believe that it was malicious, like on purpose. And this is very common in like sexual behaviors. Like a lot of times people will make like immoral acts, but not kind of realize that it's immoral. Like, I just don't believe that there's malicious intent here. It's like, we can make this an educational process rather than let's cancel her. She's a rapist. I don't know.
Could you elaborate on on what is and isn't a moral act in regards to the situation?
Well, an immoral act is what she said, basically being like, oh, you don't look enthusiastic, like try to seem more enthusiastic. In her mind, she's thinking, oh, I need, she's focusing on the content, like, oh, let's make this content seem better. But she's not thinking about, oh, maybe she's uncomfortable for this other reason. I truly don't believe that entered her mind. And like I said, I can't claim to know, but in a situation like this, if there's any sort of doubt whatsoever that it was completely malicious, rape, deception, all of that stuff.
Why does the intent matter when the action occurred?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the action occurred, but if there's
I still believe there was malicious intent, but you don't seem to actually be arguing that this didn't happen.
No, I know that what happened. I acknowledge that something happened. I just think that if somebody doesn't like realize what's going on, then like, maybe there should be some kind of like, understanding to be like, hey, maybe this could be like a learning experience, and just kind of changes the angle that we
chat. Oh my God. Hey chat. I know that Sasha like did something really bad. I know she like sexually assaulted someone, but like we don't have to cancel her, chat. We can make this a learning experience. What is that logic? That's so fucking weird.
We kind of approach these sorts of topics.
See, we're not talking about this as a learning experience. You were like directly saying that a victim of sexual assault was not sexually assaulted. They never consented to the act that happened. Like, it's not a learning experience.
Well, no, I 100% believe that Tally is being 100% legitimate in her feelings. I don't think she's lying about her experience. I think she's being upfront and honest about her experience. I just don't think that Sasha had any way to know that was what she was feeling. And I feel like because she didn't know.
Okay, so do you remember the part where Tally never consented to sex? There was never any verbal consent to sex.
She made the text messages. She could have been more clear.
The text message.
She keeps going back to the text messages. Like, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, but I can't emphasize this enough. You can withdraw consent at any time. It does not matter if you initially agreed to have sex with someone, in this case, in text messages beforehand. If you show up, you don't like what you see, and you decide, I don't want to do this, hell, you can withdraw consent for any reason. Okay, you can withdraw consent because you're uncomfortable. You can withdraw consent because you've changed your mind. You can withdraw consent because you think the person that like you showed up to and you see you think they're fucking butt ugly. Like, it doesn't matter what the reason is that you're withdrawing consent. You can do so for any reason and at any fucking time. It's not that difficult to understand. What the fuck?
Messages happened days before the incident, and she was clearly uncomfortable, which Sasha even commented on.
But Keffals, she came to the house under the explicit notice. Like, the reason she came there was
you can change your mind about anything at any time, and Sasha knows this.
Right. But the thing is that she came to the house. She never said, like, hey, actually, you know, I don't feel comfortable. She never said that out loud. And Sasha had every reason to believe that there was going to be, like, that stuff going on.
You can't give consent in advance.
No, I'm aware. But like I said, she drove to the house under the explicit reason to do sexual content and then never said, hey, I actually don't want to do this.
Right. She also...
Right, but you could understand how someone would be in a position, okay, like, let's say, again, they did plan this as like sex work content, okay? And you show up to the house, and as soon as you get there, outside of the house, you look at the person you're about to make this content with, and you're like, oh God, they're not at all what I thought they were. They actually look pretty bad, right? Can you imagine how much of an asshole you would look like or would feel like if you like outright told them that and then just dipped out? Like, Tally's in a very tough situation, right? Because you're there already, and then you're coming to the conclusion that, like, oh God, this is not what I thought this person was, and I don't want to have sex with this person. Like, you would feel like a piece of shit to just, like, leave out of nowhere, or to tell them, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, and here's why, because I think you're fucking ugly. Like, yeah, it's a very awkward position to be put in, you know? It's a very awkward position to be put in.
Drove to the house under the assumption that Sasha was who she said she was. Sasha lied about her appearance. She lied about her age as well.
Who she said she was. When did she lie about her age? I must not have
because you didn't watch the video. She lied about her age. She said that she was in her early 20s. She's in her late 30s. She said she was in her late 20s. She's in her late 30s. This was a lie. She deceived Tally.
Yeah, if you're going to lie about it, that's a pretty drastic difference. That's a little yikesy. I wouldn't call that
a little yikesy.
What do you call rape then? What is rape to you?
Well, I just feel like this is a very specific situation. Like, that's like saying, like, oh, I didn't tell that partner that I was trans, therefore I'm a rapist, you know? Like, I didn't say, you know, I wasn't explicit about these things. I just don't like these kind of, like, you know, ideas that, oh, you weren't upfront about X, Y, and Z, therefore you're a rapist. I just feel like
I'm asking you to define it because I know that you have a definition of rape. This is like a topic you're familiar with.
Yeah. Well, rape is, it's complicated because it's not like a simple thing, but I'll try to give a basic definition. Like, rape is essentially when somebody, you know, doesn't want to have sex and the person continues anyway, despite knowing that the person doesn't want to have sex. And I don't think that Sasha knew that she didn't want to. I can understand the interpretation of why you might think that. I just think there's enough nuance in the situation to not be fully sure of that. And I tend to ride on innocent until proven guilty. And also because, you know, there's just so many like, oh, trans.
She's just giving these like weaselly answers so that she doesn't have to like just outright answer the question. What the fuck?
Predator, trans predator. Let's call every trans woman a predator. This trans woman's a rapist. And then all the conservatives calling us fucking groomers and shit. It just contributes to that narrative, and then seeing it be blasted all.
So, okay. I see what she's saying, but at the same time, we're just supposed to allow legitimate predators to exist because we're worried that conservatives might play into that for their like groomer and, you know, their narratives against like trans people. Like, that seems really stupid. Yeah, just allow legitimate predators to exist because we don't want to give conservatives ammo to use against. That's really stupid. That's really fucking stupid.
All publicly. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah, I noticed that you compared me to Blair White there, which is a bit weird because what I'm doing is trying to alert people in our community, to protect people in our community. I don't have an audience of conservatives. I'm not misgendering people or showing disrespect to the trans community. And I need to just ask like a straightforward question. Like, do you think it's okay for someone to have sex with another person if they can't consent?
If they can't consent, I don't believe in non-consensual sex. I'm not like pro rape or anything. I just, like I said, in this specific situation, I think more could have been clarified, and I just don't think that Sasha kind of realized what was going on there. And in the interview, Tally mentions that she had all these feelings and never internalized them. So I just, and by the way, I want to mention the Blair White thing. So Blair White would say, like, I make all these videos calling trans people predators. She would say that she's doing that, to protect the trans community. She would say that it's important to call these things out, right? And it's like, I understand that you guys make different audiences, different kinds of content, but those kinds of videos have the same premise. And it's just kind of a worrying trend that I'm seeing.
I have to ask then, like, if you're not pro-rape, can you explain this that you tweeted out? Reading through the rape kink subreddit, and I want to share my stories so bad. I love being rape bait. One time I was in a house with a bunch of dudes and I pretended to fall asleep while they were watching a movie. Hours pass and I expect someone to rape me, but they never do. I even pretended to be drunk and everything. I know I'm helpless. Any of those guys could have raped me. Why didn't they? This wasn't the only time I've done this, and I do hope I do it whenever I get the chance, hoping someone eventually takes the bait.
I told you guys that Rose Mulet was a very, very weird person. This is someone who has publicly admitted to wanting to be raped. This is someone who has faked their death, I believe, multiple times. Like, this is a very, very bizarre person, chat, on like so many levels.
So that was the whole purpose of this conversation, to just dunk on me.
I'm asking a question.
So that specific thing that you're referring to, this is a long story, but that specific situation, really at the end of the day, I was just sitting on a couch, people were watching a movie, and then I kind of like fell asleep. And then after the situation, I kind of like exaggerated details, obviously, but it really wasn't anything. I was just kind of like sitting there, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and that was it.
You said that this wasn't the only time you've done that.
That I'd have to think about it, but I'm pretty sure that was the only time.
Why did you say that?
I don't know, because I was in a weird fucking mental state. Okay. I was in a weird fucking mental state.
Because, like, going through all that, you were trying to coerce people into having unconsensual sex.
I wasn't, actually. I know it sounds like that, but that's because it's exaggerated for, like, ooh, shock value, ooh, like, whatever. I was literally, like, just sleeping, and then I thought about that, like, months later.
Who exaggerates something like that? Like, everything about Rose seems like she's just trying to get attention. And so she says and does this extremely bizarre shit to get attention. Like, normal people don't exaggerate wanting to be raped for attention. That's not a thing that normal people do. What is wrong with her? What the fuck?
Later, and decided to like write a post about it because it was like a specific, and so this is weird. I don't want to go into detail, but like when I was 15, 16, I had some pretty traumatic experiences being groomed online and stuff, and that kind of is what caused me to have my like rape fetish and stuff. I know it's controversial, people cope in different ways, whatever. I actually read some studies about this, and apparently like the reason why like rape fetishes are so common is because it kind of gives people the feeling like they're in control after their control's been taken away from them. So I feel like for whatever reason, like that must have been like therapeutic to me. And I'm kind of, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to understand that better. But like obviously back then it just looked really bad. Like why the fuck does Rose tweet about rape so much? That's very fucking weird and sus. And I understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there was the one tweet where I think you said that rape is natural and that the reason that society is falling
What?
apart is because men are ashamed of it now.
Was that the one where I said make rape legal? The fact that men aren't like cherished as rapists is like a problem with our society. So that was actually, that one was a joke.
She said what?
Why
But
are
I
you
understand
making
why
rape
people thought it
jokes?
was- I was in a fucked up situation. I was in a fucked up mindset. Okay. Like I'm just being 100% real with you. I should have never said that shit. And I can acknowledge that. But I was just in a weird place back.
Like, I'm a firm believer that you can joke about pretty much anything. But like when you're dealing with like sensitive issues like this as a joke, there's a very, very thin line of like where it's like actually funny and acceptable and where it's not. And like she consistently crosses that line in that degree. So, what the fuck?
Then I still hadn't like fully, you know, I really like thought about everything that was going on and kind of understand why I feel the way that I do. But I feel like I'm in a better like, you know, state now. But like if the reason why I'm like so unconventional on these issues is I just had a really weird fucking experience growing up. And I guess I'm like sensitive to these issues, but not in like the typical way. Because like most people, obviously, that react to a sexual assault accusation automatically are like, oh, this person must be 100% guilty. Whereas like, my thing is like the people who did stuff to me, I don't want anything bad to happen to them. To me, it's like I wouldn't want to ruin their life. I know this is like a really controversial thing to say, but it's to me, it's like people can make mistakes, but I just don't feel like
So-
like trying to ruin their lives is like the best course of action. I feel like trying to prevent future harm is all that matters. And if someone grows and changes,
I mean, isn't that what Clara's trying to do by exposing the horrible deeds of Sasha? Like, that's the whole point of the videos and the coverage that Clara did. It's to bring it's to bring these situations to people's attention so no one else falls victim to Sasha. Like, that's the whole point of it. So, like, why is Rose trying to... I don't know. Why is Rose trying to make it seem like Claire's trying to do something wrong by doing so? It does. You say you want to reduce harm to people. That's what Claire's trying to do. So what's the issue?
we shouldn't like hold them accountable forever. We shouldn't try to like get rid of all their friends, put them in jail. I just don't see the use in that. But
So,
that's
like,
just
the
me personally.
reason
This is
that
a
this was
very
getting
weird
brought up in the
take.
first place is because you have a very hazy understanding of what consent is, and you have a pattern of showing that you disregard the consent of others and try to coerce them into non-consensual sexual acts. Like, what you're talking about is called consensual non-consent. That is a sexual fetish that is discussed beforehand with another partner. This is not a situation where you pretend that you're passed out and you try to coerce dudes into having sex with you where they
Right.
don't even think that you can consent in the first place.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say the only thing that happened was I was on a couch. There was a movie playing. I was not interested in the movie, and I was bored. So I was having fun. I was like, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep, and I'm gonna pretend like I'm not asleep. And it just kind of like because I was so bored, and it would be like if I walked away from the situation, like I was gonna be rude, like, oh, why are you leaving? We're all watching a movie together. And I was like, okay. So my mind had to like drift off and like give me a reason to like not be so bored. So I was just kind of asleep. And like part of the reason was like, oh, I wonder if people are going to tell that I'm like fake asleep or not actually asleep. Like the rape thing was kind of like I added to the story later. Like
See,
I know this.
You've
I have a rape fetish.
you've
Like,
said
I've
this
done it
before, like verbally. You told other people.
Like, okay, here's the thing. Like,
I did not verbally tell anybody this.
I have the clip of you actually saying this to other people.
I think there's a
Is this
misconception
the
on,
one that I
support rape or
posted
whatever.
like an
I
unlisted
think-
link on my YouTube channel, and then I posted that to like the subreddit because that's the same sort of shit. I'm trying to think of like what you're talking about, but in that situation, I didn't say anything to anybody. Like I would never get in anybody's business because I know that's fucking weird, and like I'm not that kind of person. I completely understand based on the shit that I say why you would think that I'm that kind of person. I completely get it from an outsider's perspective. But yeah, like I'm a pretty upfront and honest person. Like the fact that I'm even talking about all this shit publicly, like, you know, who's gonna come online and be like, yeah, I said that about rape. Yeah, I said that. Like that's like such a
So
bad,
you realize
like,
that this
look.
because rape is not the absence of a no.
Right.
Rape. Wait.
I'm
Rape.
aware, yeah.
Rape is you think that rape is the absence of a no. It's the lack of a presence of a yes. It's like
I think what she meant is like
fuck,
consent.
I'm
is,
like so fucking.
Well,
I think what she meant is consent is not the absence of a no. I think that's what she's saying, because that's what happened in the situation with Tally. She didn't say no, but she also didn't say yes. And based on like her body language, she wasn't saying yes through her body language either. So, but like Claire is so like discombobulated by like the ridiculousness of this conversation that she kind of like misworded it. But like I know what she was trying to say.
but the problem is that Keffals, when I was like 15 and 16, people have told me that like I wasn't fucking raped because I fucking wanted it. Like I was in such a fucking
And
weird
that's a
state
fucked
that
up
I
thing to
thought that,
say.
like, that shit was good, and then people said to me like, "Oh, well, it wasn't." And so like I see these other situations, and it's like frustrating. Well, it's like, "Oh, you have that energy now, and you didn't have that fucking energy for me." Like, okay, fuck that. Like, I don't know. Like,
So because people treated you badly when you were sexually assaulted, that means it's okay to like treat another victim badly because you didn't get the treatment that you felt like you deserved. Which, yeah, like the fact that like people talked down to you and said that like, oh, what you experienced, that wasn't rape. Yeah, that's fucked up for sure. Like, absolutely. But like, that doesn't mean that like, you know, another person who's a victim doesn't deserve to be treated fairly or have their story listened to just because your story wasn't listened to. Like, I could understand why you would be upset about that, but that's not an excuse to just write someone else off because you got treated badly when you came forward with your story. That just creates this endless cycle of like constantly like questioning legitimate victims. And that doesn't do anyone any good. Not you or any other future victims. That's a really ridiculous mindset to have.
I said, I'm in such a fucked mind state. I'm in such a fucked mind state, and you can tell, but it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit, Keffals.
I just don't understand how you're still commenting on these issues when you were literally baiting people into sexual assault. Why should we take what you have to say seriously on the topic now when you were engaging in that before?
Keffals, I explained the situation. I literally did not do that. I was bored while I was watching a movie, and I couldn't leave the situation, so I pretended to fall asleep. Now, months later, I went back to that situation. I saw the rape kink, and I kind of wanted to like get a viral post in the community, so I kind of exaggerated a few details.
So she literally admits she said that stupid shit for attention. She wanted a viral post. I'm gonna lie about how I wanted someone, or like, I don't even know if it's a lie with her, but like, I'm gonna tweet out that I was hoping that someone would sexually assault me so that I can get a viral tweet. Literally everything this chick says is just for attention. She says these off-the-wall statements and makes these insanely over-the-top claims for attention, constantly. This is a constant, repeated pattern of behavior with her.
Details. It's
so
Reddit.
you have a
People
history. You have a history of lying.
Yeah.
Well, I'm usually truthful about stuff, but I do lie at like sometimes. Like I mean, it's the internet. People exaggerate things. It is what it is. But I wouldn't say that I'm generally that kind of person. But like I said, I was in a weird fucking state where I did shit that I absolutely like. I said a bunch of like shit that I never should have said. But I mean, like I said, I'll talk about this if you want to talk about this. It just sucks that like every time I go on a debate, everybody's like, hey, remember that comment you made 3 years ago? Let's talk about that instead. And I'm just
I mean, it's completely related to the topic.
Didn't she also like? It seems like it's a recurring pattern of behavior with Rose to have really bad takes on rape. Didn't she once tweet out, like somebody had tweeted like a picture of like an anti-rape device or whatever, and didn't she have some ridiculous take about that? Like something about I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was basically saying that it was like awful for someone to use this like anti-rape device or whatever, and that they should be like locked up in jail or something. I don't remember the specifics of it. I'm sure somebody in chat knows what I'm talking about, but like that was her, right? That was what she said. Women should get life in prison for using those. Oh. It's literally a recurring pattern of behavior with her to just have horrible takes in regards to sexual assault constantly. She debated Hunter Avalon on this. Oh God. Like I knew she had tweeted that. I did not know she talked to Hunter about that. Maybe we'll have to take a look at that Hunter debate in the future. Jeez.
Epic. Because like the one thing that you weren't able to do with the situation with Sasha is look at things that have happened in the past and see the pattern over time in order to come to a conclusion about someone's character and whether or not that might influence what their actual motives were.
No, Keffals, I acknowledge that like the other stuff, there is definitely credibility to like the car thing, to like the other person, the third person that came out and shared their story. I don't know much of the details.
Okay. So she's willing to like look at like some of the other allegations that are made against Sasha, and she's willing to say that those are credible, but she's questioning the credibility of like the rape allegations, which is like, I feel like you could look at a pattern of like behavior in a person and look at the kind of behaviors they engage in, and you could come to a reasonable conclusion that, yeah, that's probably true too. You know what I mean? Because like, I get it, you know, as somebody who's covered like topics on the internet, and, you know, very serious allegations like this have come out. I have unfortunately covered a lot of these allegations where as more details come out, it turns out they're false. As much as people don't like to admit it, false allegations do happen, and it's really shitty, right? And it sucks that they happen so often. But we're talking about a person here, like there is like a lot of evidence of them being like an insane and like abusive person. So I think you can come to a reasonable conclusion in that sense of like, okay, this person has some very abusive tendencies. So it's pretty safe to say that these allegations are probably true. You know what I mean? Based on their other patterns of behavior, you can come to a reasonable conclusion that this is most likely true. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too reasonably here.
For that third person. But a lot of the other stuff that I saw, like there's evidence that there's kind of some stuff going on. And that would typically like, you know, lead someone to think like, oh, you know, this person has shown past behavior to, you know, do this. Therefore, that makes these other allegations more credible as well. I'm just reading the facts and what the accuser is saying. And based on what it's saying, I want to judge situations individually, because I've had times in the past where people have fake screenshots about me. And because I have real screenshots that are bad, you know, they think that those fake screenshots are also bad. Like when a famous person gets canceled, there's a bunch of real screenshots, but then a couple of fake ones will sew themselves inside as well. I've dealt with shit like that.
So where was the fake information if you're bringing up misinformation? Because I was pretty thorough with the information that I was presenting.
No, I don't think it's fake. I just think based on the context, I don't think it is what people claim that it is. Like this situation with Tally, I don't see it as rape.
What is that? Based on the context? In what context is rape okay? I don't understand that logic. I'm really trying really hard to wrap my head around that logic, but it makes no sense to me. There is no context whatsoever in which rape is okay. Holy shit.
I see it as like a misunderstanding where somebody, you know, rightfully did feel like they were, you know, misled, but because those feelings weren't shared and she had no reason to know that these feelings were existing,
right?
You know, there was no reason for her to know that this was happening. So I just don't feel comfortable calling somebody like a rapist under that situation.
Right, but this is the problem, is that because Tally didn't say no, you're assuming it's consensual. She never said yes. There was never any confirmation that Tally consented to it. And you can't say, she agreed to this with someone who lied and deceived people about who they were days prior to the situation. Because that person that she agreed to was fictitious. She didn't consent to something days in advance with someone that even existed.
Right.
Well, Keffals, I mentioned in my video, in another situation, I want to be clear about this. If somebody was going forward and there was no, like, they didn't say yes, and somebody just goes forward without,
Okay, I feel like I really need to emphasize to the chat, like, how bad this, like, transformation is in terms of how Sasha presents herself online as opposed to what she actually looks like. Can somebody in the chat who has a wrench, can somebody grab me that Dreamleaf tweet that has the side-by-side comparison? And I want to make it crystal fucking clear. I'm not doing this to body shame. It is not the intention to body shame Sasha. I just think you guys need to see the gravity of the situation of what we're dealing with here. The difference between what this person says they look like online and what they actually look like. And I think you can understand why Tally would show up and say, that's not who I think that is. Like, it's not the same person I thought I saw. And it's like a different person, right? Aren't those pictures like 2 years apart? Are they? That's the first time I'm hearing that. That's the first time I'm hearing that. But either way, we have to see these pictures just to see what we're dealing with here. Because I feel like a lot of people will look at that on the surface and be like, well, I mean, how bad could it be, right? In terms of like the difference of the person. But it's a pretty drastic difference. It's a pretty drastic fucking difference. Okay, found it. Okay, chat. So this is what we're talking about here. And again, I want to make it crystal fucking clear. I'm not showing these pictures to body shame anyone. I'm showing these pictures just to show, like, this is how she presents herself online, right? And this is what she actually looks like, okay? So you can understand how someone like Tally might show up to do sex work content with Sasha, and she's expecting to see this, and then when she shows up, she sees someone who looks completely different. And then at that point might decide, okay, I'm really not interested in engaging in, any sexual activity with this person anymore. You could totally understand why someone might feel like they were, catfished or something like that in this situation. You could totally understand that. Anyway, let's continue.
explicit, reason to believe that they were consenting, that would be rape. I just feel like in this situation, I could understand why Sasha legitimately felt.
She literally asked, and Tally did not consent. She asked, Tally said nothing. She froze up. She was dealing with an anxiety attack, and it went ahead anyway. It was sexual assault.
Wait, what part of the story was this in? I don't remember this part.
This is why if you're going to contest statements made in a video, you should probably watch the video. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to make yourself look really stupid if you're contesting statements made in a video when all the facts are in the video and you didn't actually watch it, so you don't actually know the details. Ugh.
Then why do you have such strong opinions about someone coming forward with sexual trauma?
So is this... I'm trying to remember where this falls part in the story, because I don't remember this. I mean, it might have. I'd have to rewatch the video, but well, where exactly does this fall into play here?
What do you mean?
Was this like the part where she said that she asked if we wanted to go forward, and then Tally didn't respond to that?
Tally didn't respond.
That's explicit. That's explicit rape.
That's what happened.
Yeah,
that was the situation.
No shit.
Like I said, I don't remember where specifically this would be. I don't remember that. But I'd have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, that was quite literally what Tally said about the situation.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Sasha was like basically saying that she wanted to like perform oral sex on Tally, and Tally just froze up. Tally didn't answer the question. They didn't give a body language indicator that they were like okay with that or anything like that. They just froze up. And then Sasha proceeded to engage in that activity anyway, which is that's not consent. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this fucking works. Jeez.
Yeah, like I said. So can you where exactly in the story was this? After they had already done other stuff? Was this like the very beginning?
My understanding is they had taken pictures together at that point. Like that's what ultimately Tally did consent to after showing up and seeing what Sasha looked like. She consented to take some pictures together. Okay. And then like after they had taken some pictures together, that's when Sasha was like, yeah, I'm going to perform oral sex on you now. And Tally froze up. Didn't say that she was consenting to that.
Beginning.
The video is still up if you wanted to go through.
Like, I can't watch it now.
What's stopping you? Shit.
I mean, I watched it before. I just don't remember where in the story this is. And if I knew where it was, then maybe I'd like refresh my memory.
You could watch the video if you don't remember this part, but this was very crucial, and I'm very confused if you didn't. Were you going into this with a
I watched the video. I just don't remember exactly. Like, forgive me. It was an hour long. There were details all over the place.
I mean, okay. Okay. Look, I understand that like sometimes you'll like watch a video or you'll read like a Google Doc where somebody's coming out with allegations or something like that. And maybe you're not going to remember every fucking detail of like what happened, but that's a pretty fucking crucial detail to forget in a fucking rape allegation. Like, how do you forget the most important part of the fucking allegation? Like, that's literally the most important part. That's the part where consent needed to happen and it didn't fucking happen. How do you forget the most important part of the allegation? Why would you even engage in this conversation if you didn't remember the most important part?
Just tell me where specifically, and then we can go from there.
I'll get the clip.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The clip is coming, but even if we get the clip, it's going to say exactly that. So you've basically come to the conclusion it was sexual assault.
Yeah, I did. If it does say that, then that's pretty blatant. I just don't remember
it. Talk about coming to a debate unprepared. Holy shit.
I guess
maybe it's because I want. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess that's what's shocking to me about the situation then. Why you would like go forward with casting doubt on someone coming forward with this.
Doc Shoes in the chat says is a pretty common tactic with these sorts, just ignore or feign ignorance out of context. Yeah, because like a lot of times when you're having these kind of like debates, they'll play that tactic because they're hoping you're not going to like bother taking the time to actually pull up the clip to prove your position or pull up whatever like article or like, you know, study or whatever you need to back up your statement, depending on what the subject of the debate is. But yeah, it's a pretty common thing. You just play dumb and you hope that the person's not actually going to bother to take the time to pull up whatever they need to like back up their side. I've definitely seen this for sure. And then like they fall flat on their fucking face when the evidence gets pulled up. It's like, I don't even know why anybody tries that tactic anymore because it doesn't fucking work. It really does. Unless you're dealing with someone who's really lazy and they're not going to take the time to pull up the receipts. Like it's a really stupid angle to play.
Okay, I have the clip.
There we go.
Because it was like, because Tally was saying throughout the video, like she was just insulting Sasha's appearance. It just came off like very nasty seeming. Like even if, you know, it does turn out to be rape, like this Tally person, I just get such bad vibes. Like it's.
I don't want to believe a potential victim of sexual assault because I get bad vibes from them. And then also, isn't she like conflating claims or like statements made by one person with like Tally, as if Tally was the one that said it? Like, she's all over the place. She has no idea what the fuck she's talking about.
It's kind of just
You
like
get bad
like
vibes about
saying
someone
rude-
going forward. Okay, I have the clip right here.
Okay, thank you.
It was not for Sasha. It was not for what was happening. It was for this idea I had in my head where it's like, okay, I really need to perform well for my audience. And I do like performing for my audience. And so we're taking photos, and Sasha leans over and she says, "I'm going to put your penis in my mouth, okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And I freeze. I always freeze. I freeze. And I froze. And it happened.
That's the clip.
Okay, chat. Does that sound like consent to you? If you're like, okay, if you're in an intimate situation with someone, okay, and you tell that person, next I want to do this to you, okay, and like their response is just to freeze up, like that's not consent. That's not like the green light to like go ahead, okay? Like, how does Rose not understand that? I don't understand. By the way, what's up, Bunk? How you doing?
Okay, thank you. So it seems like this happened towards the end of the interaction. So yeah, that is pretty bad. I
Pretty
think
bad?
in Sasha's
It's
head,
just
she was
pretty
thinking
bad?
like, "Oh, well, she agreed to this going in," but the fact that there was no response is like pretty yikesy, and the fact that she just did it was pretty yikesy. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it was
imagine that
rape.
this happens
Yeah.
in sexual situations a lot, but that doesn't excuse it. Like this kind of thing.
Rape is quite
Yeah,
common,
that's not
yes.
okay. No, I'm aware. It's just sucky. Like how do we improve like these things? Like how can people be more clear? Because I know that there's like this big
Shitting on victims would be a good start, Rose. Maybe don't shit on victims. Like, not shitting on victims would be a very, very good start on how to improve responses to these situations. Jesus.
idea in society that if like somebody says like, hey, is it okay if I do this, like it kind of kills the vibe, and then it's like, is it like unsexy if it's like, hey, is it okay if I do this every 5 seconds before you do like a certain thing?
That's not the situation.
Well, I mean, okay, if you're having to like ask someone for their permission like every 5 seconds, then you're probably in a situation where you're trying to coerce somebody into doing what you want, as opposed to like, hey, I'm just asking consent for this. Like, is it okay if I do this to you? And they say yes and you proceed. Or like you ask and they say no and you don't proceed. Like, there's a very big difference between like asking for consent and they give their response and that's it. Or like, let me ask you repeatedly in hopes that like your answer is going to change. Like, that's coercion at that point. You're pestering them in hopes that they'll just reluctantly say, okay, fine. You know what I mean? That's not consent either.
That's happening.
Yeah, and that was I don't remember
The
Did
fact
I
that you
mention
even
that in the
doubted
video?
me, I had to get you the clip of Tally saying this. Why do you hate Tally so
I-
much?
Because I was like reading the messages she was saying, and she was just like calling her ugly, and she was saying that she was like bricked, and it was all just about like insulting
That
her
was not.
appearance.
That wasn't Tally. That
Hey.
was a different girl entirely.
That's what I'm talking about. She's so fucked up on the details of this situation. She's so fucked up on it. She's conflating the words of somebody else with what Tally said. She has no idea what the fuck she is talking about, chat. She's mixing up statements made by two different people. Two different fucking people. Holy shit.
Those were
Was
the
it?
those were the DMs from Daniela. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you watched the video.
No, I did watch the video. Like I remember that clip.
Were you
and
just
how
not paying
played it.
attention then?
I don't know if I mentioned it like at the end of my video, if I didn't mention it. If I didn't, I should have. But if I did, it was something like, yeah, that was bad. And then I kind of just like mentioned it for 5 seconds and moved on, which kind of isn't great. But yeah, okay. See, that's making sense to me. I just didn't realize that I thought that was like a screenshot from Tally. Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I also understand why you're mad about it because you've engaged in the same behavior. Like, I remember, like, with our first debate, how much you, like, airbrushed yourself in the selfie, but then you used, like, just a random one of me with absolutely no filters on it.
Okay, so Keffals, I got a lot of stuff, and I want to explain. So first of all, the picture that I used was the Washington Post thing.
No,
right?
I know
reason
which picture that you used of me, but
The reason I used that one because it was like the only one that I could.
No, I'm
find of you
talking
that was,
about
like
the-
high quality.
that's not the point.
Yeah. So the reason I did that is because like my hair was kind of messy that day. And so I kind of just edited my hair. And like, you know, on my album covers, I do the same thing. So like, I kind of just figure like, oh, I'm going to go with the hair.
No, you edited I'm showing the chat
that's what
this.
I'm
You
saying.
edited
That's
literally everything. You
Yeah, I don't know how well you guys can see that chat, but like, if you've ever seen what Rose Mulet looks like, and she does turn on her camera at some point during this debate, that is not what Rose Mulet looks like. So I think what Claire's trying to say is maybe that's why she was willing to give Sasha a pass on how drastically she manipulated her appearance, because she does it too. And it's insane. Like that's not at all what Rose Mulet looks like. Not even close.
You edited out your pores. You made your lips ridiculously large. That is not your nose. Those are not your eyes. Those are not your eyebrows. That is not your face.
So the reason I did that is, like I said, my hair was messy that day, and then I went on Face App, and then once I already did that, I figured I might just go the full way. Like I have this like hyper pop aesthetic on like my album art covers, and it's like it's obvious. Like no one looks at that photo and thinks that it's like, you know. But I do that on purpose. It's kind of like an aesthetic. And I figured if I'm going to edit my hair in this photo, I might as well just go the full way and just do the whole thing. But if you go on like my other videos on the channel, that's like the only one that I did like that. It's just because that specific day I was kind of caught off guard and like my hair was messy. But if you go on like my other thumbnails, like it's not edited pictures of me. It was just that video.
What? Why this one specific? And also, it's not just your hair. You literally changed the shape of your jaw.
No, I know, because I was already on the Face app. So I figured if I was going to do that with my hair and edit there, I might as well edit other stuff too and just kind of do the hyperpop aesthetic I do for my album covers. I might as well just go the full way. Because I took a photo for like, you know, I film videos and then sometimes I'll like, you know, take a screenshot. And I kind of wanted to like touch up some things. And then I realized like I might as well just, you know. But like I said, that if you look at the other thumbnails on my channel, that's like, I think there's like one other thumbnail where I like make my eyes like obnoxiously big for like clickbait stuff purposes. But, you know, it's most of the time I'm.
Bunk in the chat says, God, the most I'll ever do is color correction, laughing my fucking ass off. Whoa, Bunk? You touch up your photos? Are you telling me that those like thirst trap photos you post, they're not real? You're like touching those up? Jesus. I feel like I've been lied to, Bunk. I feel like I've been catfished. Unfucking, how dare you, Bunk? How dare you? Everything you've presented on social media is a lie, Bunk. It's unacceptable.
I'm using like unedited photos of me. That was just an exception because my hair was messy that day.
I mean, I'm not even like incredibly upset that you did this. It's just weird.
Yeah, it wasn't like intentional. It wasn't like the reasons like that people think it is, and I'm like kind of bothers.
Bunk says, yes, I'm like an Instagram model. Bunk is like a debate bro with a dash of like Instagram models sprinkled in. Jeez.
Me that people think that I would do that That's not what it is. And I'm sorry if you thought that that's what it was. I mean, I hope I explained that situation.
I mean, the reason that I'm bringing it up in the first place is because of how defensive that you are about misrepresenting yourself online, how that plays into the context of what's happening. Because you got so caught up on this idea that the big issue here was that Sasha used Facetune and not that Sasha sexually assaulted someone.
Well, because that's what it seemed like in the conversation. Like
Priorities,
there's so
chat.
many minutes throughout
Priorities.
the conversation. And also I'm beautiful oat milk, but whatever. There's so many moments throughout the conversation where like it seemed like the issue that Tally had wasn't about the sexual assault. The issue that she had was that she was like misinterpreting her photos, and it was like fucking bizarre because
That
here I was
was
thinking,
one-
oh, here's gonna be a fucking rape accusation, and instead it's like this other thing, and I just thought it was really gross, like
See,
the way she
that
was just,
came
like,
up in like
insulting.
1 minute of
Punk says, what's worse, rape or Photoshop? Oh my god.
an interview that was cut down to like what 30, 40, 50 minutes, where it was originally an hour and 50 minutes, and that comes up once for like a minute. I don't know where you're getting this. I think you're inflating this in your head as your takeaway.
Well, Keffals, you made a video recently. My community has been accused of body shaming. I'm not the only one who like has these beliefs. There's other people.
Yeah, because there were people that were bad faith misrepresenting what was being said about the Dreamleaf tweet and about like Keffel showing like those side-by-side photos. They were like making it out like they were body shaming Sasha, and that wasn't what was happening. The point of showing those two photos is to show how drastically the manipulation of the photos are in order to misrepresent who she really is. And she's like meeting up with people for sex with these like misrepresented like portrayals of herself, you know, like it's understandable that people would feel like they were catfished or whatever based on like how drastically the photos are edited. That was the point of it. It wasn't to body shame. It was to show how drastic the difference between the two images are.
People who kind of felt the same way.
Did
So,
you
I
watch
mean,
the
it's
video?
not- I did watch the video.
Yeah, I mean, like the majority of it was people pushing back against this because they understand the full context. You were even conflating things that Tally said with what Daniela said in order to victim blame someone for things they didn't even say.
Jeez.
Like I said, I apologize. I just assumed that Tally had those screenshots. I must have, like I said, while watching the video, I must have
Not paid attention?
taken in that those were Tally's screenshots, and they weren't.
You weren't paying attention.
I don't know.
Got it.
I'm sorry. I thought that they were. That's what it is, you know? And regardless, it's just the stuff that I see in general. Like, it's multiple people saying this, and I'm aware of this now. But just like the way that people are responding to the situation, I just find to be so gross. Like, it just bothers me.
I don't understand why it would, but I also don't understand why your first intuition is to go really hard against a rape victim.
Right.
To the point where you were so mad about the situation, you couldn't even keep the facts straight. Like, there's literally so much more information that goes in depth about this that you seemingly have completely shut off.
Bung in the chat says, so weird that she'll like, I'm beautiful in response to it being pointed out that she heavily edits her photos. Like, you can't even convince yourself of that. Who are you lying for? Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I didn't think about that, but that's true.
And you're conflating things that happen to completely different people because there are multiple victims in this situation.
Well, then this was a helpful stream. This was a helpful stream. So what's going on there? I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. My AirPods situation. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So what was going on there? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. What did you say? I'm sorry.
I mean, did she have a real, actual, rational thought to begin with? Because during the whole course of this conversation, I've been looking for one, and I don't think she's had a rational thought this entire fucking time.
You masturbate, you get hard because I didn't see the homie get hard.
I didn't mean to push that button. Oh my god. I did not mean to push that, chat. That was the wrong button to push. Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess, do you still think that rape should be legalized?
Well, what I
can't believe she
no,
said
I don't
that.
think it should be legal, but I'm like pro prison rehabilitation. So I believe in an ideal system. Like 97% of people
Yeah,
who get
tipster
accused
L,
of rape,
tipster
like
L.
nothing ever happens to them, and only 3% go to jail. So I think the idea of jailing 3% and letting 97% go free is just a really stupid system. How about instead 100% of people who get accused have like mandatory, like, programs that they go into that kind of help them reintegrate into society. That way, like, if somebody is like falsely accused, their life's not going to be ruined. It's not going to go on their permanent record. But like,
That doesn't even make sense with that logic, right? Because her logic is like, instead of like, sending like rapists to prison, then like let's instead like try to rehabilitate them or whatever. And then like she makes a statement of like, well, that way, if somebody is innocent and they're like falsely accused, like their whole life isn't ruined. Wouldn't it be better to just like, I don't know. I don't see how forcing someone who's innocent to go to a rehabilitation program is like, how is that a better? So she's all over the place. Nothing she says makes any fucking sense. I'm just.
It's shown data statistics that like going in these programs is going to reduce the number of future people hurt.
What was
and
your
I feel like that's what's most important.
so could you answer? But do you think, have you changed your position on whether or not rape should be legalized?
She won't answer that question.
I don't think that it should be legalized. I think that I just don't think that many people, like the US has so many more people in prison than any other countries. And I think that for most cases, people shouldn't be in prison. And I think if we do have prisons, they need to be humane prisons. And the way that our prison system currently is, it's extremely inhumane. And it's just shocking the amount of human rights that get overlooked. I think that if someone is 100% undeniably
what does that have to do with this?
Then yes, they should be.
What is any of this, like this conversation about the U.S. prison system, what does that have to do with the question of, do you think rape should be legalized? Because she previously stated that on Twitter that she thought rape should be legalized. Just answer the fucking question. I mean, I know that she did say no, she doesn't think so, but why do you have to like tack on all this like useless information that has nothing to do with the question? Just answer the fucking question. That's all you got to do.
Be humanely imprisoned. I don't think it's immoral to imprison anybody under the current prison standards.
Rose?
But a humane prison. I know this is like a long answer, and I'm sorry. But I'm just, yeah.
Why do you think that anyone who watches me or any of your own viewers should take your opinion seriously when you have conceded on every single point that you have made coming to the table here, including conceding on things that you said years ago?
So first of all, I don't think that we should be treating these kind of situations as like a win or lose. I think that's something really toxic about this community.
I don't think that's what
And
she
that's
said.
true. I didn't come to the table shaming a rape victim. That was you. I think that's really toxic considering you didn't even know the full situation.
Well, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and there were some nasty things being said about her, so I kind of felt a little bit sympathetic, and I...
Oh, wow.
So because someone said mean words to a rapist, you felt bad for the rapist? I'm sorry, but if people bully a rapist, I don't give a fuck. Like, if a rapist is getting bullied, I'm not gonna feel bad for them. What is happening here?
Wow, someone called a rapist ugly. I guess I'm going to shame a rape victim. That is literally what you did.
Well, I think that
This isn't a win or lose situation. This was a situation about someone that was traumatized.
Like I said, I think a lot of times people tend to go like side with the rape victim and never any sympathy for like the person accused as well. That person's still a human being. So like,
you just side with every rapist without looking into the evidence? I don't understand why you're saying I feel sympathy.
I can understand if like maybe there's like very like little information to go off of, and you're like making the argument that, hey, like guys, let's not jump to conclusions, because as I mentioned before, false allegations do happen. We see this unfortunately far too often on social media where someone gets falsely accused of something very serious like this. It happens way too much. Okay. So I can understand having the, hey guys, pump the brakes real quick. Maybe we need a little bit more information before we jump to conclusions here. I can understand that perspective, but like, hey guys, this person was accused of this really horrible thing. Maybe we should, have a little sympathy for them too. Like, no, okay? Like That's not how this works, okay? That's not how any of this works.
Sympathy for a rapist.
Because rapists are human beings too. Like, you know, anyone who like commits a bad action, they should still, you know, be able
I guess
to be redeemed.
you're saying that from experience, considering that you were trying to coerce men into raping you, right?
I explained the situation.
It doesn't change it.
I explained the situation.
It
That's
doesn't
not
change
what
it.
happened.
There's two outcomes of it. Either you're lying to me now and I shouldn't believe anything you have to say, or you were truthful and that's heinous.
What do you mean? Which one's the lie and which one's the truth?
I don't know with you. There is not a single position that you seem to actually hold with consistency over time.
Well, I evolve and change my opinions when new evidence.
You evolve and
falls
change your
through.
opinions every 5 seconds. You don't hold a consistent opinion. That's why all of the debates that you do go south like this, because you don't hold opinions.
Because she's
Well,
not
I
actually
think that people.
she's not actually trying to defend a position. She's trying to get attention. That's all it is. Everything she does is a move to get attention. I mean, we saw earlier she admitted that cringy fucking tweet she made about like wanting to be raped or whatever, like that was for attention. She wanted a viral moment, she said, like a viral tweet. So like everything she says isn't about actually defending a position, it's about getting attention. That's her end goal.
Should be able to like self-reflect and change their opinions as they. I don't think that that's like a negative. I don't think that's something that should be looked down on.
Usually that's after someone takes in information, not after they are immediately presented with a piece of evidence because they were too lazy to look into it.
I did watch the video, Keffals. I watched the video.
But you didn't pay attention to it. If you actually
didn't
watched it, you
pay
clearly didn't pay
to
attention.
it. Do you need subtitles? Will that help you? Or opening the transcript? Like maybe consuming it in parts so it's like you're watching.
She needs it put together for her in like a child's like picture book. That's what she needs, where it's just like it's bold, it's boldly and loudly like explained to her like a child. Like that's what she needs, Keffals. So you don't understand. Like she needs you to hold her hand the entire time.
Watching a bunch of TikToks.
Oh my god, Keffals. It's a lot of information. I watched it in 2x speed.
Okay.
I did like the thing is I got like a very strong emotional reaction to some of the things that Tally was saying. It was a very negative reaction. And it's like as soon as that happened, I was against her at that point. I was like, okay, I was going in thinking that this was going to be like a rape thing, and then she starts like insulting her, and I'm like, okay, I don't.
Okay, you're conflating two different people
men.
again. Remember, this is Daniela. You're mad about the Daniela text.
Yes, those were the screenshots. I'm talking about like the things that she said in the interview, and I played some of the clips in my video. But like even some of the stuff that she physically said in the interview, I didn't get good vibes from her. I didn't. And you know, I feel like
it's crazy to me that you're saying this, but then you're also conceding, oh yeah, maybe it's bad yikesy vibes that Sasha got in her car and took photos of her driving towards her victim's house, stalking her and threatening her with violence. Like, what the hell? Yeah. How are you so sympathetic to a rapist that threatens violence against people and tries to silence all of their victims with legal action?
Okay, even if you want to like, I don't hold this position, but even if you want to be like, okay, so Rose is questioning the legitimacy of the rape allegations. Okay, like even if you want to take that perspective, why would you still be sympathetic? Because she's not denying the other abusive behavior. She's not denying, you know, the stalking and shit like that, and like making like legitimate threats towards these people or anything like that. She thinks that's true. So even if you're like, okay, I have doubts of the legitimacy of the rape allegation, why would you defend someone who's going around stalking and threatening people like that? Why would you have sympathy for someone who's engaging in those behaviors? No matter how you look at this situation, it doesn't make sense. Why would you have any level of sympathy for someone who does this kind of shit?
Yeah, so I specifically that car thing, I don't have the evidence for that. I believe that happened. I just try to separate that. So like I view that as like a separate situation, and
It's not a separate situation. This is a pattern of behavior over time involving the same people. It's not in a bubble.
Yeah, but like someone can do bad things, and then some other situation, someone could like falsely assume something because of that behavior, and I've seen
Like
that
what?
kind of stuff happen. So I try to
Like what? In this situation, like what? Not in another situation, the situation we're talking about right now.
Well, in this situation, just like some of the stuff that was being said, like about her, and like, you know.
Okay, we're talking about
basically-
Tally, because that was the issue you had, not Daniela. So what did Tally say? And we have the evidence that it was Sasha's car. She even admitted it in her DMs.
I believe that 100%. And I think the police should look into that. And I hope something gets done, because that's really creepy and wrong. I just think that in this situation, Tally was talking about like, you know, the appearance more than like, and it just, like I said, the whole thing rubbed me the wrong way. Just like the voice clips that she mentioned in your interview. I was like, I think they both suck, honestly. Going into the video,
What?
I was like, okay, Sasha kind of messed up, but I'm willing to be sympathetic to her. But now I'm going in thinking like they both kind of suck.
Are you both sidesing someone getting raped?
Oh, no.
Like I said, I just don't get good vibes from Tally. I don't think she's a good person. I genuinely don't. I think that they both have like issues and like stuff that they have
So
to
you're
deal.
Could you imagine saying some dumb shit like that? You know, like I really wanted to believe this victim of rape, but God damn it, I just couldn't do it because the vibes were off. You know, the vibes were just off. So I couldn't believe them, chat. Like, what the fuck?
saying that she doesn't deserve any sympathy for being sexually assaulted because you get bad vibes. Is that how your moral system works?
Well, I mean, honestly, like I was, you know, I dealt with like things that have happened to me, and I just, like I said, it traumatized me. But I did like I'm okay. I recovered. Like I'm fine. I came through it. I mean, like I still get traumatized every now and then. Like it impacts
what
me.
does
I'm
that
still
have to do with the
impacted by it.
situation with Tally? Like I have also been sexually assaulted, but my own experiences do not play a role in the situation that happened.
Well, I feel like, you know, because of experiences that happened to me, it's kind of made me.
If anything, I feel like if you've had your own experiences with being sexually assaulted, I feel like you should have more empathy towards a victim because you can relate to them. Not this like standoffish, like, well, I don't know if I believe them because of the vibes. The vibes just aren't right. Like, I don't know. That just, it doesn't make a lot of sense no matter how you look at it.
Feel like, okay, well, I feel like other people are kind of like, you know, I just don't. To me, I like look at that situation. That's like, well, I've been through that. You know, I've had similar stuff happen.
Okay, but
to
what
me,
is your?
And it's like I wouldn't want to like. I'm not going to be malicious and try to like.
You are being malicious. You literally put out a video saying that a rape victim is not being truthful.
Well, because Tally was being malicious to Sasha. In a way, it's like, I'm going to try to ruin your career. I'm going to tell everybody that you're a rapist.
Wait, by being honest about what happened? So if you get sexually assaulted, you can't be honest about the situation? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you can. I just don't. To me personally, and it's in a lot of situations, I do side with the victims. I just, in this situation, I just like, I got bad vibes. I truly got bad.
You got bad vibes, so you sided with a rapist. You've even admitted she was a rapist in this conversation.
To me, I don't like calling trans women rapists. To me, that's just a very yikesy thing to do. And all that's going to do is just give into the ground of like, oh, trans people are terrible. Like trans people.
No, I think.
Again, I said this earlier. So like her position is that, well, like if a trans person is ever like a legitimate predator, we can't out them because then conservatives will use that against all trans people. And I think that's an insane position to take, right? That like we can never out legitimate predators because conservatives exist. Like that's so insane to me. That's so genuinely insane to me. Just let genuine predators go unchecked because we can't give any ground to conservatives. God.
I think
Like,
trans
what
people
is
are
it
regular
accomplish? You're
people who
calling-
can commit any
calling-
crimes that cis people can. And I
Right.
don't think that we need to baby people or infantilize people in our own community. And they should be accountable for the actions they take, especially when they are crimes and especially when they traumatize people.
But Keffals, these stories get like signal boosted by like the worst bad faith actors in the world to the
Okay.
point where like most trans people that an average person knows.
All right,
like,
all
the
right,
rape
all right. Rose,
terrible
Rose, if you
people.
care so much about perception, why are you tweeting, oh, I love being rape bait. Oh, I love coercing men into
Good
having sex with me.
question.
You think
Good
conservatives wouldn't be all over that if you tweeted that again?
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, so conservatives have given me shit for that, and it's kind of like it's not the only reason I've stopped making those tweets, but I've definitely like significantly made those tweets a lot less often than I used to, and I've pretty much stopped it. And many reasons for that. Like I've grown.
Normal people don't make those kind of tweets to begin with. Normal people don't tweet about fantasizing about being raped and about laying on a couch hoping that the men in the room are going to rape you. Like, that's not a normal thing that normal people say.
I've stopped doing that stuff. You know, to me, it's just like I had to deal with my own personal demons, my own personal trauma, and I just dealt with it in a weird fucking way.
Rose, you are not the center of the universe. You're not the main character. Almost every trans person has
Thanks
trauma.
for the money, you fucking simp.
Thank you.
Momu donated $2. I'm selling tickets off this planet. Who's with me?
Oh, please give me a ticket. I want off. If this planet is full of people like this, I want to leave too. Please take me with you, for the love of God. Please do that.
We are disproportionately exposed to trauma
Thanks for the
and
super chat,
sexual
buddy.
assault and physical violence.
Which is why I'm sympathetic to her, because I just feel like being signaled out by that, you know, being like, I feel like isolation just makes people worse. It just makes people want to reoffend more. Like, this isn't
So
gonna
wait,
help
but you just
prevent
admitted
Sasha
that
from
she's a
raping the
rapist.
future.
Why are you being so sympathetic?
Yeah.
Because I want to prevent future harm.
You just
and
said,
calling somebody an
like,
evil
her
rapist
victim,
and
your
disassociating
victim,
her
you're like,
again.
her victim gives me bad vibes. But when someone is a stalker and a rapist, you're being way over charitable.
Well, I just think that if we want to prevent these actions from happening again, we need to have more sympathy for these people. We need to, you know, make them like there's ways to deal with these things other than this is a terrible human being.
That is
cancel them.
not
Let's make
how
sure they
this went
never
down.
recover.
That's not how
I just
this
don't
went
like-
down.
I just don't.
Like, where's
like
the
the way that
sympathy for
society-
Tally? Does she not deserve
I-
sympathy because bad vibes because you couldn't pay attention to the video and mistook what she said
Well-
for what Daniela said?
Well, what happens is that a lot of people are sympathetic towards Tally, and the balance is kind of off a little bit. There's not a lot of people sympathetic towards Sasha, and I try to correct that balance. That's what I kind of do with a lot of my.
I don't have any interest whatsoever in being sympathetic to somebody who's been accused of rape and stalking and abuse and like all of these horrible things. I'm sorry. I don't think the average person cares to show any sympathy to someone who is engaged in these kind of behaviors. That's just a you thing, Rose. That's only a you thing.
Contact.
Okay, so you're taking a contrarian position just because
I can understand having sympathy for someone who was falsely accused and there's proof that they were falsely accused, then absolutely you have sympathy for that person. But that's not what we're dealing with here. There's more than enough evidence to suggest that this person is guilty of all the things they're being accused of.
you think it's edgy. You're defending a rapist
No,
because you
it's-
see no one's defending the rapist.
It's not edgy. It's just that when people
Are you a
isolated,
neo-Nazi, Rose?
they-
Because that's also a pretty unpopular position to take. It'd be pretty contrarian of you.
It's scarily more popular than it should be. So I wouldn't call it unpopular on these corners of the internet. I just feel like in these
Which
situations,
corners of the
there-
internet are you on?
I'm not on those corners. I'm just saying I've been harassed by a lot of neo-Nazis. I've been harassed by a lot of TERFs. I've seen people say awful shit to me because sometimes my tweets go out to like transphobic sides of Twitter, and I get those kind of messages.
Okay.
And it sucks.
So of all trans people, this is a common thing.
No, what I'm saying is that these people who are extremely hateful exist.
I mean, they exist, and I don't see them as very different from you, to be honest. Like, you're out here siding with rapists and putting out videos saying, oh, this rape victim, bad vibes, don't believe her. That's insane.
Well, I mean, I do believe her.
Now you do, after someone actually showed you, guided you, held you by the hand, and showed you the evidence.
Well, Keffals.
Like, she claims to have watched the video. And like I said before, like, she's claiming that she didn't remember the details. Like, she forgot, like, the most important part of the allegation, which is the part where it actually is rape because she didn't consent to what happened to her, right? Like, Keffals literally had to spoon feed the evidence. Come here, little one. Let me spoon feed the evidence to you. Like, she literally had to do that for her to be like, oh yeah, like, that's, what did she say? That's pretty yikesy or something like that? Jesus.
I never said that I have to be careful of my words here. I don't think I ever said that I didn't believe her. It was one, I don't remember that she said X thing, or two, she said like something and it's like, I believe that she's being truthful. I just feel like that was just like rude and insulting and I got bad vibes from it. I believe she's being truthful and I believe that it's rape. Like, I always felt that way.
No, you did it. At the start of this conversation, you said that it wasn't rape.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. I did say that it wasn't rape.
So you're just lying in real time. Do you even know when you're lying anymore?
Sorry.
Oh my God, chat. Like, does she not even, like, hear the words that come out of her own mouth? Does she not even understand, like, the things that she says before she says them?
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Sorry, no. That was, yeah, so it was, I didn't think it was rape, but I think that, I always thought that Tasha thought she was raped. Does that make sense? I always thought that Tally thought
so,
that she
no,
was
that
raped.
is literally you saying the same thing rephrased. You're saying that you didn't think that she was raped. You're saying, oh, she's entitled to her feelings, but that's not what I think happened.
Okay. Apologies for the misunderstanding. I do think, and I always thought that it was, I just didn't think that Sasha had any reason to know that it was. So I don't think that like calling her, but now looking back at more evidence, I realized that, yeah, she did act in certain ways. But at the same time, I don't know if like blasting it out online is like super duper helpful. I just like, it's, these are just such tricky topics.
What would you do? What do you think that a rape victim should do?
I'll say like what I did if I'm gonna speak on.
No, what do you think Tally should have done? Not what you should have done.
Okay. Well, I'm going off the golden rule based on what I would do, how others should act the way that I.
I'm not asking you about your life story. I'm asking you, given the evidence, what should she have done?
So I think that, she should have just, I don't know, like been like, I mean, she could have talked about it to like her friends. She could have been like, hey, maybe if, there's like stuff going on. I get that, reporting it to police doesn't really help. And a lot of times nothing ever comes from it, but that could be a thing. I feel like there's ways to deal with these situations privately, and that's typically better. I feel like when you make it public, especially consider
deal with these situations privately. Like, what do? Do you reach out to your rapist and say, hey, I know you raped me that one time, but let's settle this, in a civil manner. What? I already had like a bit of a migraine going into this, but like my head hurts so much from just trying to like rationalize the statements that are being made here. Because Chat, can you guys do me a favor? Chat, I'm asking you guys, right? I'm actually going to go face cam for this. Chat, can you guys do me a favor? If I ever get the stupid idea that it might be a good idea to have a debate with Rose Mulet, can you guys tell me that that's a bad idea? Because after watching this, like, I don't want to do that. Please, for the love of God, chat, if I ever get the stupid fucking idea to have a debate with Rose Mulet, please, for the love of God, I am begging you, talk me out of it, please. Please? Talk me out of it.
During the trans of the situation, there's just so much risk. There's so much hatred. And I just don't think it's worth it.
So you want the
I think
victim
it's
to stay
more
silent?
negative.
John Thomas in the chat says, but think of the content. No amount of content will make this worth it. I don't care if I was guaranteed like 1 million fucking views. It's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it.
I think that for the
I'd rather maintain my sanity than get content.
greater good, it is better.
You're saying that rape victims should stay silent because conservatives might pick up on the fact that a violent crime occurred. That someone who has a history of predatory behavior, who has done this time and time again, should just be able to continue engaging in that pattern of behavior.
Well, I want actions to be taken that will prevent this behavior from continuing. I just don't think that posting a tweet is going to prevent behavior from continuing. I don't see how posting a tweet prevents bad actions from happening in the future. These type of people continue to do these things regardless, and being hated by everyone around you, being isolated for everyone around you. That the reason why prison systems suck so much, it just makes
we're not talking about prison. She's not going to prison. She's not in prison.
Makes people want to do the bad stuff more. If there's no redemption, there's no chance of ever recovering, then why would they recover? What do they gain?
How are they going to engage in that pattern of behavior when that pattern of behavior was based on their reputation and the fact that people didn't know that they engage in this behavior? The fact that everyone in the trans community knows makes it much less likely that this could happen in the future.
Yeah. So, Keffals, what I think could have happened is that this Tally person could go messaging some other people privately.
She
and
did.
Be like, hey, I heard some. Okay, then
that is how this went on for a long time before any of this went public.
I just don't think it should have been public, but that's just my.
Yeah, because I remember before it went public, like there were like rumblings in the community about like this sort of thing, to the point where like I remember on one stream Xander Hall was alluding to that he knew some stuff about her. Like it was a stream that was unrelated to this, like the subject of how Sasha was the one that outed Keffals like addiction problems, right? He kind of alluded to knowing some stuff that would eventually come out, and then like somebody in chat notified him like, oh, that's already public. So yeah, people knew about this before it became public, because she was going behind the scenes and telling people what happened to her, and she was sharing it with people privately before she went public with it. That is something that happened.
My personal opinion?
Right, because you think that rape victims should be silent.
I think that generally that it doesn't really benefit anybody, and I don't think it prevents harm. And my main goal is to prevent harm. I don't see how it prevents harm.
I don't think you even know what preventing harm is. Like, your opinion does not matter on this.
Gay Fest in the chat says, yeah, I've known for months. Uber, I have known she was a shit person for like 3 years. I didn't know she was a rapist. So people did know, like there's a variety of like ranges of like, some people knew like the seriousness of the situation. Other people knew that she was like a bad person, but they didn't know to what extent. So yeah, people were aware of her behavior to various degrees before this came out.
Situation. You just decided to weigh in regardless because you like attention.
No, I want rape to decrease. I want there to be less rape. And I think the way to make less rape is to have open conversations, to not socially shun people. And if there was a way to be open about these things without everyone being like, you're a
You know what she's talking about this like? She's talking about this like the conversation of like, you know, therapy for non-offending pedophiles. That's how Rose is talking about this. You know how like some people like will advocate for like, oh, you know, if you're a non-offending pedophile, then you should seek therapy so that you don't offend or whatever. She's talking about it like that, but that's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with something very serious that people should have to suffer some level of like, you know, repercussions for their actions. This isn't a non-offending pedophile who doesn't want to hurt someone and therefore they're seeking treatment so they don't hurt someone. That's not the same thing.
toxic, evil person. You should never have friends. You should never blah, blah, blah ever again.
Okay, so by
And
the way,
think
I
that
just
would be the
went
way to
over
do
your
it.
old tweets. When you posted the screenshots, you said Lily. You can't even remember the situation. You weren't talking about Tally the entire time.
I have to go back.
Why do you need to
I feel
go
like-
back? Why is it that I need to do that labor for you when it's your own tweets? Like, I can give you the link if you want, but it'll just say what you've already said.
All right, let me go to my video and see. Let me see.
Here, I'll just send you the tweet because Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
it is Tally. It is Tally.
So she doesn't even know the names of the people she's commenting on? This has got to be the poorest debate performance I've ever seen. Like, the most unprepared person I've ever seen. You're making very, very bold statements about a situation where you don't even know the names of the people involved. You don't even remember the names of the people involved.
I don't even think this matters. I think that if you are the victim of a sexual crime, if you're a victim of sexual trauma, you're allowed to be a bit mean to the person that raped you. Like, why does that matter? Why is it that that's such a no-no for you? I think that Tally could have been 10 times more mean about it, and she would have been in her right.
See, that's the problem, though.
That's the problem, that you're mean to a rapist?
No. A bad action doesn't justify another bad action.
Oh yeah, because calling someone ugly is totally on par with raping someone. Thank you, Rose Mulet. Incredibly insightful commentary.
Well, it doesn't excuse it, and also, I feel like doing that just kind of doesn't help your case. I feel like you should try to take the higher ground. And just saying that is just never okay. It's never okay to say those kinds of things to people.
It's not
cool.
What?
Yeah, no, it's not cool. That, legitimately speaking,
are you like devoid of human emotion? Are you capable of conceptualizing other human beings as other than yourself? Because anytime I've asked you a question, you filter it through your personal experience like you're the main character of the universe and no one else exists.
No, that's why I do feel emotion, and that's why I care. Even though someone could be seen as a bad person, I care about the attacks and the insults thrown to that so bad person, because I can detach and I can see that those insults are still bad, and I want.
Well, Sheepy in the chat refers to this as civility politics. No, this is not civility politics on crack, as you put it. This is literal mental retardation. I'm just going to call it what it is. You have to be insanely fucking retarded to have this position that, like, hey, I know this person sexually assaulted you, but could we not be mean to them, please? Could we not say mean words about them? Fuck them at that point. What do you mean? Don't bully the rapist? What are you talking about? I don't give a fuck if anybody bullies a rapist. They fucking sexually assaulted someone. What?
Want people to be better and not make those insults, even if they think that the person is bad. So I have empathy towards that kind of situation.
No, you literally were victim blaming someone who was raped and saying that I sympathize with the rapist. That was what you were doing. You have no sympathy to the people who were actually harmed. The only thing that you are sympathetic to is this situation that's similar to you, because Sasha is getting shit on social media for being insane and tweeting deranged things, just like you have time and time again got shit on social media for being insane and tweeting deranged things. You're showing empathy to her because you see that situation play out in front of you, and it reminds me of the shit. It reminds you of what you have gone through. But the fact that you can't sympathize towards Tally is because you can only filter things through your own experiences, and you've never experienced what Tally has.
Like I said, I have experienced things. I don't want to get too personal into detail. It's never going to be a perfect one-to-one comparison. I just know what it's like to have a lot of people assume the worst about you, to have people gang up against you.
Yeah,
So
I do
just
too.
tend to
I
wanna
know
see the
that
best
more
in
than you will ever know in your entire life, and it doesn't make me defend rape.
Keffals, I don't think you know my life, and I don't want to get into it, but you haven't been walked my shoes. I haven't walked your shoes either, but it just feels weird to make that claim when it's like you wouldn't know what I've dealt with. I know what you've dealt with somewhat, but not fully. But I don't think, but that's not relevant.
I mean,
I'd like to see you try on that.
I mean, you've made a lot of points that aren't relevant to this conversation either. So, like, you're one to talk.
I don't think that you would want to play that game because you're going to lose that. I have followed the stuff that you've done, and a lot of it is just you tweeting insane shit for attention and then people shitting on you.
Yep.
It's not just that. But I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, I don't want to play that game either. So, like, what even is your takeaway from any of this?
That's like me saying, that's like me claiming to know everything you've experienced based on what you've tweeted. That'd be stupid. Like, a tweet's...
Yeah,
that's
because
not
I
my
was in the
entire-
news, because I was arrested, because neo-Nazis impersonated me. I was arrested at gunpoint. I've been raided as a result of this shit. What's the worst that came out of this for you?
I don't talk about the worst stuff that happens to me, because if I do, it kind of makes it worse. And there's people that have stalked me, impersonated me, threatened me, doxed me. There's people that have done that stuff, but the reason I don't tweet about that is because if I tweet about those things, it gives them satisfaction. And
all right,
it'll
fine.
make them more likely to do those things again. I just personally don't like.
It's
bringing
funny
those
how,
up,
like,
but if you want me to,
unprompted,
I
you
can-
will not shut the fuck up about your personal experiences, but then when I ask you to go in depth, you say, I can't talk about this.
I mean, I could, but like I said, there's people, like I have people that stalk me. I have people that have tried to do horrible things. But when I mention them on stream, what typically happens is like I'll get an email from them being like blah blah blah, and then it'll kind of continue. Like the moment I mention them, they kind of follow everything that I do, so that the moment I give them any semblance of like, you know, credibility or like mentions, it comes back and it gets worse. So that's why I don't like talking
Congrats.
about it
Welcome to
so-
being a public figure.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
I was asking a
aware.
simple question.
I'm just explaining to you.
You don't need to explain to me because you have never experienced an eighth of what I had to go through. How many pages is your Kiwi Farms thread, Rose? How many times? You don't even have one because no one knows who you are.
The reason I don't
Damn, she called her irrelevant.
Hey, irrelevant.
Jeez.
have one is because I've taken very meticulous.
Oh, you've
steps
taken very
to try to-
meticulous things like tweeting out that you're rape bait. The reason why that you don't have that kind of attention is because you're literally too unhinged and you constantly admit that you're lying for attention. You're uninteresting to most people because of that. Like, I've talked to people in the commentary community who originally found you fascinating and then realized that you're boring because you lie. You've lied during this conversation. You admitted to lying. You can't hold any opinion. Everything that you do is for a crumb of attention.
Well, what happens is that I start to notice, like, that's, you know, one of the things, like, if I start, first of all, you don't ever mention that website's name. The more you mention that site's name, that gives into them. And the more you mention them, the more likely they're.
Oh, you
to
think you
gain
can
from
educate me on this? I don't need a lecture.
She talks about fucking Kiwi Farms like it's Voldemort. Don't say their name or they'll come for you or Jesus.
On Kiwi Farms.
Yeah, imagine trying to educate
So,
Keffals on
part
Kiwi
of the
Farms.
reason there have been certain people that have wanted to or tried, but when I kind of feel that happening, I severely take a step back and I kind of am able to like filter it off and kind of stay down. And it's kind of like a cycle, you know, when I feel like it's getting
Rose,
too close,
please
I kinda
don't
stay
act
off.
like you plan out what you're doing. You don't. If you were actually that meticulous, you wouldn't be tweeting legalized rape.
She probably wouldn't have actually taken this debate either if that were the case, because she came into this debate completely unprepared. She doesn't plan shit. She doesn't prepare for shit.
I just feel like it's weird that you think that you know what's going on in my thought process.
I think that I can know that, yes. I think that you have established over the course of several years a clear pattern of behavior. I think the reason why you are unable to see that is because you view everything as isolated incidences and that you cannot connect dots.
Well, I can connect dots. It's just sometimes I choose to isolate them for a specific purpose because I feel like a certain situation should be evaluated on its own.
That doesn't make any sense. Especially when you're talking about the topic of sexual assault. That's when you decided to do this. You decided to like take out that someone who got raped said something mean. This is rape, Rose. This is a crime. This is someone who was traumatized. And you decided to weigh in even though you couldn't pay attention enough to even get the facts together to have a conversation about it.
Right?
Well, the way I see it is this. I kind of see a video and I kind of say my thoughts, and if somebody says something that, you know, goes against what I have to say, I can be like, okay, but you know, I'm gonna say what I think, and if somebody, you know, corrects me on it, then fine. I don't know all the facts, but based on the facts,
if you don't know all the facts, why would you weigh in on a situation that involves multiple victims of rape?
Because I had a pretty strong emotional reaction to it.
Why would you put out content because you had a strong emotional reaction? That was like an hour-long video that you put out.
Yeah, because I had a strong emotional reaction to it, and I wanted to get my feelings out there.
Okay, so if that's how you operate, don't pretend that you're careful about things. You're obviously operating on an emotional basis, and you don't plan things out. You don't step back and think, should I say this? Should I do this? You're operating on your lizard brain right now. It's all just emotion.
In this specific situation, in certain situations, yes. But when it comes to like serious situations, when it comes to when things cross a certain line, I'm very good at like.
And rape doesn't cross a certain line with you.
What?
Okay, I draw the line a different place than most people do.
Wait, so
what? Did she? I didn't just hear that. Hold on, I did not just hear that. Hold on a second. We gotta run this back a little bit.
When it comes to when things cross a certain line, I'm very good at like.
And rape doesn't cross a certain line with you.
Okay, I draw the line a different place than most people do.
What? What does that even mean? What? You draw a different line than other... I don't even know how to respond to that. How do you even respond to that?
Wait, so you're saying that rape isn't a serious situation?
Well, no, I'm saying in this specific situation where I'm responding to it, I'm just saying like when stuff like
you don't think that rape deserves a serious response.
Like Keffals, when I do stuff online, it's separated, right? When things cross that separation and things kind of go beyond the online space and I have genuine reason to fear my safety, that's when I start like backing down seriously and like, you know, start taking actions. And I don't tweet about those things, but I take actions.
What does that have to do with whether or not you should take rape seriously?
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres, just a fucking terrible person. And I look beautiful. About the rape, taking it seriously. I think that rape should be taken seriously. I feel like my video did take it seriously. I just came to a different conclusion, but I feel like after our conversation, I've reevaluated my thoughts
Rose,
and my opinion has changed a bit.
Rose, it's not all about
I take it
you.
seriously. I don't always come to the same conclusions other people do. And that's okay.
You don't take it seriously, and you were victim blaming someone that was raped. And you sided with a rapist simply because someone called the rapist ugly. And the fact that someone just said something mean about you, and in a conversation where multiple people were traumatized and were raped.
Chat, according to Rose Mulet, you're never, ever, ever allowed to say anything horrible about someone who rapes people. You could never, ever, you can't bully that person. You can't make fun of that person. You can't make any horrible statements about that person because Rose Mulet said so. Oh my God.
You had to stop and say, oh, fuck that chatter. Pay attention. Focus on what matters. Okay? Being a little mean and just insulting someone on their appearance is fucking peanuts compared to the trauma of sexual assault. Why is it that you act like this?
To me, that's one of the worst lines that somebody can cross.
Wait, calling someone ugly is worse than raping someone?
In my opinion, I don't know if I'd go quite that far.
What?
But it's up there.
What?
Can you answer that question honestly? Is calling someone ugly worse than raping someone? In your opinion?
I feel like when you're raped, it's at least like usually the person finds you somewhat attractive. So it's like a terrible thing that causes like trauma for the rest of your life. I wouldn't say so.
What is that? What is that argument? So what is that? Okay, so the rapist found you attractive, and therefore, okay, I'm trying to rationalize her thought here. I'm going to try very, very hard. Is her logic there that like, hey, yeah, you know, the rapist did this horrible thing to you, but they thought you were attractive enough to do that, so glass half full? Is like that the argument she's trying to make?
I think that being raped is worse, but there's arguments to be made.
There's no fucking way you're not trolling me right now.
I mean, do you want me to lie to you? I don't, what, do you want me to like lie about how I feel? If that, like, would that make you feel better? I don't understand.
I mean, Rose, I feel like you're the type of person that, you know, if you have a thought, just leave it here. Okay. Like you're the kind of person that when you have a thought that pops into your brain, just leave it there. Okay. Don't open your mouth. Don't share it with the world. Just leave it there because your thought process is royally fucked.
No, I think you've decided to check out of the conversation.
I'm still here.
You're snickering through your microphone.
I'm not snickering. I just have my arm over. I don't know if you can't see it.
I can't. You never turned your camera on.
I guess because the webcam fell and I haven't found it yet. I was looking for it and I can't find it. It fell off on my laptop. Remember at the start of the conversation, I was looking for it and I never found it. So
no, your camera was working. You just turned it off immediately.
No. Yeah, I turned it off and it fell. Like
okay,
well,
but
first of all,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Like I still do not understand. Like, why are you like this?
Why am I the way that I am?
Why are you like this?
How am I supposed to answer like a question like that? I mean, how does it feel to hear from somebody that the way that I am is like this terrible presence to other people? Like, how is that supposed to make me feel?
See,
it's just my honest emotions and feelings.
I mean, you're actually answering my question because if you notice, I never called you an awful person, but you just said those words.
Well,
is it a self-esteem thing?
Do you think I'm an awful person?
No, I just think you're like kind of retarded.
Well, that's not a very nice thing. Slurs are evil. You shouldn't say them.
Well, you know, I really wasn't trying to be nice there. I was trying to be honest. Do you want me to lie?
See, that's the thing. That's another thing. Like using slurs is like one of those things that I don't.
This is where the conversation gets really, really weird. Like, it takes this very strange shift to where it gets a little bit unsettling in some ways.
Respect, and that's one of the things that, to me personally, I think that's like one of the lowest lows.
I
And
personally think
it's
raping
also-
someone
it's
is the
also-
lowest low,
also not
but
true.
I know that
But-
you don't think that.
No, I do think that rape is pretty low on the totem pole. I wouldn't call it the lowest thing, but it's pretty low on the list of things.
What is
Murder is worse than rape.
okay?
Murder is worse than rape.
And saying retard, where does that go?
Well, that's the thing. You're trying to call somebody disabled. That is extremely ableist language and kind of propagates harm towards those communities. I'm personally not disabled, but saying that kind of language is really harmful to people that have disabilities, and they don't, appreciate that kind of stuff. So it's just not very, it's not very sympathetic to those.
So
kinds of
is
people
that
either.
better
I
or
have empathy
worse
for people with
than
disabilities?
is that better
No,
or
there's
worse than
people-
rape?
Thanks for the money, you fucking
There's people-
simp.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know why I didn't read your message. People like Rose is the reason rape victims are often afraid to speak up and sex workers are already constantly slut-shamed. Yeah, fair.
In
that
your
are gonna
opinion.
see this
Thanks for the super
conversation
chat.
and think that I don't have empathy for people who have dealt with rape. And I understand the conclusion based on this conversation. And I completely understand why someone would think that, right? But I don't see it that way, but I think most people would, after watching this conversation. It's just difference in perspective.
So where would you
I-
put that?
Rape, how bad rape is?
No, like how bad saying
Oh, you got no signal.
Oh yeah.
I don't see a signal.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I had to turn my camera back.
You're fine.
My camera overheated. But could you answer
Yeah,
that question?
no.
Like, where do you put it? Is rape better or worse than saying retard, Rose? I'm just like trying to get a gauge on where
The
you're at.
physical act of rape. I feel like the bodily harm, like you could get AIDS from rape. So I feel like that could be more harmful in and of itself. Like it could be a deadly action. So in that of itself should automatically make it worse than like an insult, which isn't going to physically harm you. It's just going to emotionally harm you. But the physical harm that rape.
See, this
can
was
cause,
like
you
a
can
yes
trauma
or no
from the
question.
moment.
AIDS
Well-
never came into the
No,
conversation.
I'm saying yes, but I'm going into the reasons why I'm coming to that conclusion.
All right, I'm turning my camera off for a minute
Yeah,
too.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I need my camera to stop cooking. This conversation got a bit too spicy, so now my camera needs to cool down.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, hey, I'm in Arizona. It's really freaking hot here. Like it's 100 and something degrees, like 110. Like, so I mean, my devices get hot all the time, and even with like a fan on, it doesn't really help.
That's
So
facts.
yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, so
Hey, you're back. Let's go.
I am back. I'm gonna try to get this to work again. So
Rooting
like, where
for
were
you.
we? Why are you like this?
It's
That's
funny.
what
I've
we're all
gone to a
wondering.
lot of therapists, and I found that they haven't helped. They try to put me in a box, and I find that I don't fit the boxes that they try to put me into.
What kind of boxes
So-
do they put you in?
I just feel like I must be a very unique individual because any therapist that's ever tried to understand me hasn't gotten it.
What are some
know
of
what
the
I'm saying?
things?
I feel like someone like Rose Mulet is so like mentally fucked that like she goes to a therapist and they have like a handful of sessions and the therapist is just like, fuck this shit about, you know what I mean? Jeez. Therapy only works if you want to get help. Yeah, true.
Things that they thought you had as issues.
I don't think they know how to deal with me.
But what have they said?
They would kind of just give me like worksheets to do. Like I have OCD. That's like the only mental illness I have, obsessive compulsive disorder. And it's something I don't talk about a lot, but like I get like, you know, here's how to deal with OCD. And then I talk about like certain issues that I had. And it would be stuff that like, I feel like there's like a generational gap or an experience gap that they wouldn't like fully comprehend what was going on. So they would kind of think about how, you know, their previous clients or what they were taught in school and how to deal with certain situations. And it wouldn't really apply to the situations that I had dealt with because I had, you know, I just, like I said, maybe I went to the wrong therapist. Who fucking knows?
Angie in the chat says main character syndrome. Yeah, I mean, she really does. If you listen to even this conversation, throughout the entire course of this conversation, she makes everything, literally everything about herself. So she 100% does have main character syndrome. Abso-fucking-lutely.
I've had like therapists that I could speak to and have like a chill conversation with, but I never left feeling like, oh, I know better about myself, or, you know, I feel like I've learned something, I've evaluated, I gained something emotionally from this. It was just kind of like, let's talk about life. Fun. Okay, bye. Nothing changes. It was like, I just never, I don't know. I've thought a lot about why I'm like this, and I don't have an answer. It's a lot of like the butterfly effect. I'm sure it's like lots of little things that have happened in my life that have gone in a certain way. Maybe certain things have gone wrong, certain things that like I said, I'm not going to talk about, but I've had some pretty traumatic shit in my life. And I had people that helped me in these situations, and those people are no longer here. So that kind of sucks. You know, and then I had people who were cool with me, and then suddenly they decided they weren't because I said some shit 3 years ago, and then all of a sudden, randomly, one day out of nowhere, they hate my guts. And all of these things combined happening to
Well, if you said some dumb shit and then they no longer associate with you because you said dumb shit, that's not really out of nowhere. You did something or you said something that upset them to the point where they're like, I don't fuck with you no more. That's not really out of nowhere.
Person just kind of breaks somebody, and then you kind of just are like, fuck it, you know? If everyone's gonna, like, why should I even fucking bother trying? Why should I bother trying? What's it gonna do? Nobody's gonna, you know, see me as a normal person. I've already fucked up any chance I ever have of, you know, getting a normal, you know, being seen as a normal person. My past always is gonna haunt me and precede me. I could do everything right from this point forward. I could magically change and become a normal person, but nothing would change. I wouldn't be treated the same way. There's no path to redemption. And because there's that no path, it doesn't give me a lot of motivation to, I don't know.
Well, you know, Rose, I think you should stop defending rapists.
True.
I think that might be like a good first step. Because if you're so worried about your past haunting you, why do you keep creating...
Yeah, defending rape probably isn't going to help your situation. You've had some pretty bad takes on rape in the past. You've said that, you know, people who use rape prevention devices, women who use rape prevention devices should be locked up in prison. I believe that's what she said, right? Somebody correct me in chat if I got that wrong. You've said that you wanted to be raped. Like, you put yourself in a position where you were hoping someone would rape you. And now you find yourself in a debate where the main point of the debate was you defending a rapist. So yeah, if you want to improve your reputation on the internet, making these kind of statements probably is not going to help that. Probably not.
New situations for your past to haunt you.
Because Keffals, if I don't, people are still going to bring up the rape thing. I could not bring up rape stuff, and then I could go have a random innocent conversation, and someone will still bring it up. There's no escape, Keffals. There's no escape.
Look, Look, as one...
I mean, that's kind of what happens when you're a public figure on the internet. If you make a statement that people disagree with or dislike, or for whatever reason they choose to use that statement to shit on you, yeah, people are always going to bring that shit up. There's things that I've said that people disagreed with, or like things that I will openly admit I've said that were pretty stupid things to say. And people bring that shit up all the time. It's just part of the nature of being a public figure on the internet. And if you can't handle that, then maybe being a public figure on the internet isn't for you. Maybe you need to find a new hobby or something, because like clearly you're not cut out for this shit. It's just part of the gig. And if you can't handle it, then this definitely isn't for you. Move on to something different. Do yourself a favor and find something else.
No, one person to another. I understand how you feel, you know? I've had my own controversies. Like, I know you tried to coerce someone into having sex with you. I said noodles are tasty. And that's basically the same thing.
Fucking noodles.
Keffals, I did not coerce somebody. I fell asleep on a couch. I didn't say a single word to anybody.
But did you say noodles are tasty?
Claire's just trolling at this point.
I am not a fan of noodles.
See?
No,
See? Then you're fine. You're gonna be fine. Stop doomering about it.
Oh my
God. I don't know.
I hope I could give you a little hope.
What hope is there, Keffals?
I
don't see what hope there is.
You didn't say noodles are tasty. That's for sure. You're gonna be fine.
But what's the hope? I come out of this conversation and people just assume the worst of me based on how the conversation went. It's just another thing that adds to the pile of reasons why people, you know, and it's...
I mean, it's just part of the nature of, like I said, being a public figure on the internet. Not everybody's gonna fucking like you, okay? There's gonna be plenty of people who fucking hate you and say horrible shit about you, whether it's like true or not, right? Like, we all deal with this shit. It's just a part of the gig, okay? I have plenty of people who dislike me and shit on me constantly, all right? And if I couldn't handle it, then I would need to leave, okay? Like, I don't like this thing that's happening, so I gotta leave. And if that's what's happening here, you can't handle the shit that like people say about you, then you need to leave. Like, I know that sounds fucked up, but it's the reality of it. You need to fucking leave. And like, at the very least, if you're gonna stick around, if you don't like people shitting on you because you say dumb shit, then you're going to have to stop saying the dumb shit. Okay. Like, I understand that like you say this retarded shit to get attention, but if it's bothering you that people shit on you because you said something stupid, then you need to stop at the very least saying the stupid shit. Like, it's really not that hard. It's genuinely not that hard.
It's already like you've gone through this cycle. It's not like you dealt with addiction, right? When you're in a cycle, it's hard to escape that cycle. To me, this is
okay,
addiction.
Sure. And you know, you can go to rehab for social media addiction. They will take away your phone. They took away my phone. Maybe that's what you need? It helped me.
Well, I actually did go off the internet for a year, and it was a pretty good year for me. And it was fun.
Wait, how much off the internet are you talking? Did you watch YouTube? Did you watch TikToks? Did you like post anything anywhere on any account?
I watched videos, but I didn't post a single thing, and it was so unlike me. And I did that for a full year, and I don't even know how I did it. And people thought I died because I was so inactive. Like, people that I talked to all the time, like,
Did they think you died because you went off social media for a year, or did they think you died because you faked your death again? Because that's something that my understanding is she's done that numerous times, like faked her death. Which, who does that? Who fucking does that?
Up rumors and stuff like that. So, you know, and it was really hard for me, but it was for my mental health, and I did it. And
Rose, you faked your own death. You faked your own death, Rose.
Keffals, I didn't fake it. I just disappeared. And
no, you literally tweeted with your account, pretending to be your parents, saying that you died.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in 2019. That was after the situation. I did do that, but this is a different situation. I know it's confusing. I did. That thing you're talking about did happen, but the thing I'm talking about happened before, and it was other people assuming that. I know that's weird, and you probably don't believe me, and I understand why, but that's what
So
happened.
the timeline is in 2019, you faked your own death, and then you came back, and then you took a break?
No. I took a break in 2018. In 2018, I was off the internet, and I came back in 2019, and then maybe like a few months later, that happened.
Why did you
Does that
fake
make
your own
sense?
death in the first place?
Good question.
I was like rattling my head about that. I couldn't figure out why.
I think what happened was oh my God, yeah. I know exactly this sort of situation. I was in a situation where somebody called like a mental wellness check on me, and I was scared. Like the cops came over to my parents' house at like 3 a.m. It startled them. They got shocked, and I was pretty scared in the moment. So I kind of just like that's what kind of caused me to go. Like the cops.
So she faked her own death because someone called in a wellness check on her. How does that make any fucking sense whatsoever? If anything, wouldn't that provoke someone to potentially call another wellness check?
Coming over to my parents' house did happen. I believe I said that in the thing.
Everything she does is for attention. Literally everything. If you know Rose Mulet's history, every single thing she's ever done in her existence on the internet was for attention. And it's always the most insane, off-the-wall shit. Like, she's one of those that, like, all attention is good attention. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. She just wants attention. And so she'll do these ridiculous things, like have these very bizarre and ridiculous takes on rape, or like talking about how she wants to be raped, or faking her own death just so she can get attention. Like, how sad and pathetic must your existence be, like your life be, if you have to fake your own death to get attention? That sounds really fucked.
But what didn't happen, obviously, is like I
So-
didn't die.
So you faked
But-
your own death following a wellness check?
Something like that. Something to that extent. I just was like really upset at the time, and it just I kind of spiraled.
What a
little bit,
fucking
you know?
Weasley
And
little
I was just like, I was
liar,
done
dude.
with it. I was just like, you know, these people are coming over. Maybe I don't. Like I said, this was a while ago. I don't remember exactly where my mental state was at the time, but it was something to that extent. I think.
I hope you're okay now.
Oh,
See,
chat, it gets really weird here. Really, really weird.
was at the time, but it was something to that extent. I think.
I hope you're okay now.
See, I appreciate that you said that, because no people don't ever ask that. People don't ever say that. No one ever says that. No one ever cares about how I feel.
Rose, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, if this stuff ever gets too much, you should consider taking a break. Like, going off the internet for an extended period of time, like going to rehab, that changed my life. If you genuinely,
Keffals.
if it causes you like so much emotional distress to be on the internet,
No.
yeah?
Hold on. People are saying, first of all, I'm using my phone camera, the webcam on my phone. People are saying that these are fake tears. They're not fake tears. I have considered like changing my name, moving to a different country where no one knows who I am, and just like starting anew. I've legitimately considered that. Like, it's not even a joke. And then I considered faking my death again, which I'm not going to do because that's like a shitty thing to do, and I wouldn't do that again. But I've considered doing that just so that all this shit would fucking stop. And like, I want to move forward. Someday,
That's not a normal thing that normal people do. You don't think about faking your death again so that everything goes away. You know, you want to know what a normal person does if like the internet is causing them distress and they want it to go away? They log off. Like, even I've had situations where like I'm not in the best mental headspace and like, you know, things that are happening online are not, you know, improving that. So I log off, whether it's just for the day, whether it's for a week, whether it's for a whole month, whatever. I log off. That's what a normal person does when they are not in a good headspace and they just need the internet for them to stop. They log off. They don't contemplate faking their death. And I have to emphasize this. They don't contemplate faking their death again. Because again, this is something she's done multiple times. Heavy Gretel in the chat says, I don't think she's faking it. I think she's crying because she's genuinely unwell. She's just also a crappy person, and this isn't actually a Keffals problem. Yeah, I think that she has some genuine mental instability. I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to try and like diagnose her because that just seems fucking weird. But like, something is not mentally well with this person, and they need to get help. Like, they genuinely need to get fucking help for whatever the fuck is wrong with them. This internet thing clearly isn't helping them.
At some point, I'm going to disappear offline and I'm just going to move on and live a normal life. I haven't decided when that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And it
should have happened like yesterday. It should have happened years ago. It should have already happened at this point.
It's going to be like none of this shit ever happened. And that's what's healthy for me. That's how this all ends. I just don't know when that's going to happen. And I feel like there's a lot that I want to accomplish before I get to that point. And that's what's preventing me. I don't feel emotional closure. I feel like I've had a lot of people say things about me, and there's this urge and this desire to prove them wrong. And I have to overcome that before I come to the point where I can move on.
You want to prove people that they're wrong about you by defending rapists? By saying women who use anti-rape devices should be locked up in prison? By saying that you pretended to fall asleep in a room full of guys in hopes that one of the guys would sexually assault you? I can keep going. There's just so many bizarre things that this person has said and done that I can keep going, but I'm not going to. I think you guys get the point at this point.
And mature to the point where I feel confident enough in myself and I feel self-actualized that I can retreat and feel good about myself.
This conversation started because you were defending rape. So wait,
Yeah.
you've had a camera the entire time and you lied about not having a camera.
No. So the camera that broke was the web camera that I had on my laptop. This camera on my phone is where I record, but while I was recording, I had to turn my camera off because my webcam. I know it sounds like I'm lying. It's just maybe I explained
No, I mean, you are lying. Rose, why are you doing this?
Why does she lie about everything?
I don't know. It's confusing because it's two separate cameras.
No, not the camera. Why are you doing this? What do you get out of this? You're not getting anything out of this conversation. Because either you're trolling and no one gives a shit, or you are in so much emotional distress that going on live streams is making you break down crying.
Keffals, I just want to be heard. That's what it is. This is not trolling. I don't know how to get this to you. You see like how serious this is to me, right?
You came on to shame a rape victim.
Yeah, it's funny how these things start.
Like, you turned on the camera for a minute. Now I feel bad. You need to end the conversation and take care of yourself. Like, you have stains all over your shirt. You need to actually put your mental health first.
Why are you commenting about stains on my shirt?
Because you're obviously unwell and you should take care of yourself instead of subjecting yourself to something that's obviously not good for you.
I just like what take care of it. I just don't see how I just don't see how that could happen.
You end the call, you leave, you go do laundry, and you take a shower, but I can't keep this conversation going because at this point, I feel like I'm hurting someone who is in distress. Please take care of yourself.
But what do I do after that? That's not going to make me feel better. It's just going to change external
Take a
things,
hot
not
shower. That always makes me feel awesome.
But that's I'm talking about my mind internally. That's what needs to change. That's the external things are the symptom to the problem.
There's a lot of
It's not Clara's or anybody else's job to be your fucking personal therapist. Like, if you have mental health issues, you need to take the initiative to get those resolved, right? Like, you need to go see a therapist. If you need to get medicated, then you need to go get medicated. Whatever it is, you need to speak with your doctor and you need to figure that out. But like continuing to make a spectacle of yourself on the internet isn't going to make the situation better. It's only going to make it worse.
good like live there's a lot of good live streams, like 24-hour rain noises. You can put that on and like take a nap. I love doing that.
I don't think that is going to do anything. I find that to be pretty boring, actually.
Have you tried it?
I did, actually. I tried falling asleep to those things a few times.
This is a person that like they just want to make themselves the center of attention and a victim, like no matter what. Like, even if you were to give them like actual suggestions for how they can improve their situation, they wouldn't care, because it's not about actually getting help. They don't have any interest in actually getting help. They just want attention at by any means necessary. It doesn't. They don't actually want help at all.
And it just I don't know, it didn't, I don't know, it was like a little distracting. Maybe it did help at some point. I just don't
see it did
to me.
Like, Clara, this is literally a you can bring, you know, a horse to water, but you can't make them drink type situation. Like, it's very admirable and, you know, very, you know, heartwarming of like Clara to try and like suggest things to this girl that could help her, but she doesn't actually want the help. So no amount of advice you give her is going to change the situation. She's just going to say and do whatever she can to get the attention she wants.
I this was many years ago. I just don't like, first of all, I don't think that's going to fix like the greater issue. It's like tiny little band-aids. But it's, I don't know. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Please take care of yourself, Rose.
But Keffals, do you actually like care about me?
Yes.
To me,
you are a human being. I disagree with everything you said, but it's obvious that you are in distress and you should take care of yourself and prioritize taking care of yourself.
No, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I feel like you started this call because you wanted to come on and dunk on me and kind of laugh at me with your audience. Like, look at how stupid these takes are, and now like you look down on me, like you think that I'm like disheveled and like, you know, crazy and stuff, and that you know I'm in a worse.
She's so like fucked in the head that she doesn't even realize when somebody's having like genuine concern for her and genuine like pity for her. Like, how sad must it be to live in that kind of existence where like you can't even tell when somebody is genuinely concerned for your well-being? Like, in some ways you can't help but feel bad for her because of that she's like, she lives in such a fucked up existence that she can't even tell when someone actually cares about her.
Position, and that like I don't know, it's like weird vibes.
You
like,
literally cried saying that I am the only person who even asked if you were okay. I do. I don't have to agree with you. I could actually think that you're a completely stupid person and still want the best for you. Like, my opinion on your opinions has nothing to do with how I feel about you as a person, and you're another human being who obviously has a lot going on, and I really just want you to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I just have a lot of fucked up emotional shit going on in my head. But yeah, I'll try to take care of myself.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how to. I just don't know how to.
I honestly just like do some laundry, take a shower. I'm not even saying you're stinky. I'm saying if you take care of your body, you're taking care of your mind. Please.
Yeah, but the body and the mind are separate things. I don't see how that's gonna like fix the mind itself. Like that's what should be focused on, I feel.
Actually, no, the brain is an organ, it's part of the body. I think you're just trolling, but Rose, I legit
I'm not trolling. What the
I
fuck?
sincerely
No.
hope that you take my words into consideration because I'm being more sincere right now than most people will be with you online. I hope for the best for you. Please take care of yourself, and I hope you have a great night. Okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
I think Clara made the right call to end the call because it wasn't going anywhere productive at that point. And like I don't know.
I can't do that. That got way too intense. That went in like that was way too intense. That went into like I felt like I was trying to help someone through like a mental health crisis, and I just wanted to have a conversation. The moment she turned her camera on and I saw the stains on her shirt and like that her hair was disheveled, I'm like, I knew that like she's not okay. I don't think her mental health is your responsibility. You went way above and beyond. Yeah, but sure. If I know that someone is not doing well mentally, and then I'm using my platform in a way that could hurt their mental health further, when I would feel like a shitty person. I wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
God, my camera keeps overheating. She is a rape apologist. She's a piece of shit. I'm turning camera off and I'm putting the Discord back in the background because I need to talk for a minute about this, and I have more segments I was gonna do, but I'm honestly a bit like fucked up about this situation. The thing that I think really differentiates me from the tankies that I constantly shit on is I still believe in the humanity, even in people that I think are shit. I want to see the best in people. I don't want to see people suffer, even if they deserve it. Rose, I see Rose in the YouTube chat, and I just blocked Rose. I'm blocking you from the chat. You're not allowed in this chat. You need to take care of yourself. You need to have a shower. You need to do laundry. You need to schedule a therapy appointment, and you need to stop subjecting yourself to this kind of thing. You are genuinely unwell, and I feel bad for having this conversation now. It might even be like that she was manipulating me, but holy fuck.
Jeez.
Oh.
All right. I think now's a good place to wrap it up because like she just basically talking about the situation with her friends after that, but I've watched a lot of pretty insane debates over the years, and that was by far one of the most insane ones. Like, it had so many, like, she wasn't actually knowledgeable of the subject she was talking about. She kept mixing up statements made by one victim with statements made by another victim. She didn't even know why the situation with Tally could be considered rape because consent wasn't given to the activity that took place. Like, And then it just turns into this bizarre therapy session at the end, which I don't even know what to say about it. I just think that Clara made the right choice to end the call when she did, because it just, I don't think anything positive was going to come out of that conversation moving forward. But all I can say is that, like, Rose, I still believe that, I do believe that she has some serious mental health issues that she needs to get addressed. But at the same time, she has some really, really bad takes when it comes to the subject of rape. And I truly believe that this is a topic that she should not be publicly commenting on whatsoever, because she's just not in any position to have any actual constructive conversations about this, like, at all.